Happy October and happy Saturday from Belmont at the Big A. We're here in South Ozone Park with a jam-packed day ahead of us. Plenty of graded stakes action to look forward to. And it's always good to be Hall of Fame trainer Todd Pletcher, but especially when you have the likes of Life is Good in your barn. He's the heavy favorite in today's Grade 1 Woodward as he looks for yet another Grade 1 victory. He's 2 for 2 at the mile and an eighth with dazzling gate speed and the stamina to see it through. But Todd Pletcher has strength in numbers. He has a horse that could potentially be running for second. Keep me in mind, as he has faced plenty of top company in the graded stakes ranks and looks for his first Grade 1 win. Final couple of days of the meet at Churchill Downs, and the Kentucky Derby winner Rich Strike returns to his home track today in the Lucas Classic. He'll face Older for the first time, but he won a maiden claiming and the Kentucky Derby beneath the Twin Spires. All that and more coming up on America's Day at the Races, brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Here in South Ozone Park at the Big A, we have had some rain throughout the morning and expected throughout the afternoon, but thankfully looks like it's not going to be as bad as was previously predicted. So we do currently have races 2 and 6 off the turf, but the stakes are on the grass. A bright and sunny day at Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky, though, as we'll bring some sunshine here on the desk. Acacia Clement alongside Anthony Stabile. Little A-Train reunion, Anthony, as we have, of course, the Woodward, the Champagne, Belmont Turf Sprint, and the Miss Grillo. Some races today that are full of so much history.
I think we're going to have to stop calling it reunions. We're doing it enough now.
I know.
We kind of feel like a Cher concert at this point. Yes, fantastic day of racing. A super Saturday, if you will. If we get in the Wayback Machine, before you were born, little A, the super Saturdays came around in the early 90s here on the Naira circuit, and we had a blast with them. Sugar McGahee, most notably in 1993, 5 Grade 1s on one of the super Saturdays. So a lot of rich history here, and we're just shifting a little bit of a different scenic here. We're in my backyard. Queens get the money, hopefully a little later on with the Mets on Fox. And, yeah, big day of racing across the country. We're going to have a ton of it here to cover on America's Day at the Races, and I'm looking forward to getting into the action with you this afternoon.
As, of course, we look ahead to our America's Best Racing race of the week. It is the Grade 1 Woodward, as we'll take a look at Life is Good, as he's 1-9 on the morning line. And a scratch, certainly, of a horse that would be a long shot in Thomas Shelby, but probably the only one who is not as quick, but has early speed. Meanwhile, Life is Good has the rail, and he faced just 4 other foes in the Whitney, and he did drift a little bit in the stretch there, Anthony, but the dazzling gate speed combined with the stamina that he has to go the mile and an eighth is really such a potent combination.
We'll see Thomas Shelby next week in Alvosburg here at Belmont at the Big A. Yeah, you know, he's done nothing wrong except a neck defeat in the Alan Jerkins Memorial last year to eventual sprint champion Jackie's Roy on U.S. soil. The one defeat over in Dubai when he tried to go a mile and a quarter. And I guess that's the knock on him because, frankly, Acacia, there aren't many, if any at all. Maybe he doesn't want to go more than this 9 furlongs of the Woodward, but he's tried this 9 furlongs twice. He's handled them with ultimate ease in 2 major Grade 1s, including the Whitney, which, in my opinion, is the most important older horse race in all the land. He won it real easily last time out. He handled a little moisture in the track. Now, I'm not comparing the 2 tracks. There is substantially more moisture in this track here at the Big A this afternoon, but he's handled almost everything they've asked him to, from coast to coast, from the age of 2 to the age of 4 now. He's just that good. But the problem with him is, and maybe he doesn't get enough credit because of that horse right above his name on this graphic right there, Flightline. They're 2 really, really, really nice racehorses. We get to see one today pretty much. You never want to say it's a public workout, but this doesn't look like it's going to be much more on the road to Lexington for the Breeders' Cup in 5 weeks.
It'll be fun to get a chance to see those 2 go head-to-head, hopefully in the Breeders' Cup Classic, as we have, I think, one of the deepest divisions, not only with the 3-year-old dirt horses, but in the handicap division as a whole, as when we get a chance, hopefully, to see those 3-year-olds with the talented horses like Life is Good, Flightline, Olympiad, Hot Rod Charlie, perhaps Rich Strike, like a 3-year-old taking older today. When they all come together, hopefully in the Breeders' Cup, that's going to be quite a matchup.
Yeah, we'll find out what happens later on today with Hot Rod Charlie, with Happy Saver, with Rich Strike, the Kentucky Derby winner's back. One more is just escaping my brain. I don't know why. In any event, there's 3 or 4 in the Lucas Classic later on that look like they can stamp their tickets. I love the fact that so far you're hearing all of the right things from the trainers. Belmont saying with Olympiad, listen, I'm going to go take Flightline on. I don't think Todd's going to do much differently with Life is Good. If Life is Good does what he's supposed to do today, on the heels of that Whitney win, I think he's owed a chance to run in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
We'll take a look at what's coming up today. Today's races, as always, presented by Claiborne Farm, and we have some real good ones to look forward to. Races 1 through 9. We do have a sloppy main track, as Anthony mentioned, a yielding turf course for the 2 turf stakes, the Belmont Turf Sprint and the Miss Grillo. A little bit later on, of course, the Grade 1 Woodward, a highlight on today's program. We also have Churchill Downs for you, nice and sunny over there. You could earn up to a $200 deposit match bonus when you join Naira Bets today. Sign up with promo code MATCH200. And you could earn up to a $200 deposit match right after your first deposit. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Don't forget to join now at nairabets.com for your $200 deposit match. We'll get started with the live racing action on this October 1st program with the opener from Churchill Downs. Taking a look at the field, we're going 1 mile and 1/8 on the main track. It's a maiden claiming for 10,000. We'll see who can find the right level, who can handle this distance. The Thatch is currently 7 to 5 on the board, coming off of a 3rd place finish at 1 mile and 1/16 for trainer Brendan Walsh. There's a look at Hey Boss as they get the call for riders up. We'll kick off the action beneath the Twin Spires, and a whole lot more to come after this.
Eclipse champion Run Happy, the #1 second crop dirt sire of last year, is back and showing a new dimension with winners on turf, dirt, and all weather.
Tabaline has really shouldered all the responsibility. What a deserved victory. Most impressive. Tabaline by 3 1/4.
Somebody's Problem is on her way to winning the Prairie Meadows Debutante. Somebody's Problem by 2.5, 3.
Run Happy, price for value, and standing strong at Claiborne Farm.
You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Getting ready for the opener at Churchill Downs. Again, 9 furlongs for this maiden claiming group in the first race, and often the distance going to be a question. We'll see who finds their friends in this spot and gets graduation day as horses step onto the track for the opener. We'll meet the field, Anthony, starting with Hey Boss.
#1, Hey Boss didn't do too much running in his first try on a main track on the conventional dirt, and we'll see if he can improve second time in his 9th career start.
That was his first start on the main track last time out. Here's Big Pete.
0 for 17 in his career. 13 of those will come on a dry main track. Made a trainer change last time out to no avail.
Here's a 3, Little Red Rifle, turf to dirt.
After a couple of turf tries back to the main track where he is 0 for 5 in his 8-race career.
Number 4, On Spot, stretches out in distance.
Yeah, ships in from Charlestown and Laurel as well. Gets a little bit of a circuit switch. He's 0 for 6 with a second in his career beneath the Twin Spires.
Looks like a bit more of a sprinter, but we'll see what he does as far as the speed. Here's Command Central.
Well, there's Thatch who cut to this dropped to this level last time out. Now Command Central, another 0 for 19 here, Acacia. This horse, another one going turf to dirt, was off the turf, 2 back, finished 3rd in 2 of his last 3, but you're going to need to find more on the drop down to 10.
Got too excited to talk about Command Central, clearly. Here's Go Virtual.
Blinkers go on. This horse was claimed out of a dirt race back on June 19th, but the barn's run him 3 times on the grass since. He goes back to the main track. He's a little interesting in here at a price, I think.
Well, that's the field for the opener at Churchill Downs. Currently, Thatch is even money as we welcome in the 3rd member of our team with us, Paul LaDuca. Paul, we're jealous of the sunshine you have there at Churchill Downs, but looking forward to all the great racing on today's card.
Yeah, thanks, Keisha. Absolutely beautiful day for a great day of racing here in the Ville. That's what the kids tell me, at least my daughter. I'm trying to stay hip, Acacia, but the Ville is absolutely beautiful today and a great card. And I thought a very good betting card as well. We'll see a little bit later on in the card the Derby winner, Rich Strike. I think he's up against it a tiny bit, but some good races to go along today here at Churchill Downs. Race number 1, a mile and 1/8, maiden $10,000 claimers. This is as low as they can go, and I can understand why the public is going to Thack here at 8 to 5. This is a horse that ran into Hornbeam last time out, going a mile and a 16th, and Hornbeam just ran the horses off their feet. I thought Thack was okay. He held, I don't know if he held 30. He sort of grinded away. He was trying to get to the winner because he knew the horse up in front was going slow. So he tried to make a middle move at that horse and then just tired out. Now, in this position, does he get to the front end, or can he rate behind some of these other unproven horses? And I think he's even money just because when you look at the rest of the runners in here, that's why. Look at the 6 in here, Command Central, and Anthony mentioned it. I apologize big time, Anthony. I'll never call you Andy again. 0 for 19 with only 1 second place finish. So it's not like this horse is knocking on the door. 1 out of 19 in the top 2. It does have 6 third place finishes. Is this, his friends? And then the 2 I thought was the interesting horse for Big Pete, because Regina Barrett took over the training of this horse. The last race was in the same race as your favorite Thack, and it ran a weird race. Sort of went to the front, dropped back, and kind of re-rallied towards the end. It's a confusing race. I think this horse wants the mile and 1/8 distance. And to get to the 1, I just don't understand why that horse is 4 to 1 for Danny Weir. Dropped for this maiden 10 and did not do much running in the last start in the same race as Thack. Maybe they think this horse is going to improve 7 to 8 lengths on the 5.
All right, Paulie, thank you. Do you have anything to say to Paul?
Paul's the best. That was great.
We think you're very hip for the record, Paul.
Yeah, you're forgiven, Paul. That's the other thing, too. Never call me Andy
He's been doing such a great job.
We look so much we look so much and act so much alike, Andy and I. So it's easy, we're easily confused.
Even money on the favorite right now is I'm finding it a little hard to concentrate because we have live music up here in the Equestrious restaurant.
It's a big day here in the Equestrious.
Which
it's a
is
big
exciting.
Day.
But the guy's playing Wagon Wheel right now.
Yeah, it's been
those that know me.
It's been an eclectic bunch of music so far. Yeah. There was a little Alanis earlier.
Yeah.
A little Jagged Little Pill action.
I wasn't mad at that. Anyway, the opener at Churchill Downs. Your favorite will have to navigate the mile and 1/8. Did try the distance 2 starts back. Was against a notch tougher than what he'll face in here today. And I guess just on the figures that he's run, he's the horse that's run the least in this race as well. So those are some reasons that makes sense.
I was on the air covering this heat opening night at Churchill Downs of this short late summer fall meet. This horse made a little bit of a middle move and just tired the last 16th, 16th of a mile. I don't know what makes the connections think that coming back in 2.5 weeks and going another 1/16 of a mile is going to help this horse's cause. At 4 to 5, man, that is a tough gamble, Acacia. Taking 4 to 5 on this horse is a tough gamble. The 7 Go Virtual is a horse that I think if you're playing exactas or trifectas, or there are people out there that just like betting on long shots, which I get. My best friend Phil is like that. He will not bet a favorite. You could do worse at 15 to 1 than this horse. This horse is a little interesting to me, but I wouldn't go crazy.
Who will navigate the mile and an eighth? We'll soon find out. The opener at Churchill Downs coming up. Travis Jones standing by with the call.
Waiting for Little Red Rifle and Go Virtual. They're in the gate, and they're off. Bounced around out of there was Little Red Rifle on spot, looking for the lead, and grabs it right off the mark. On spot in front, biased the first time. Thatch comes on to grab second. Command Central and Big Pete, they're together third and fourth. Go Virtual racing up on the far outside in fifth. Another 2 from there to Little Red Rifle, and the early trailer is Hey Boss. 7 furlongs to go, and it's on spot in front. Rafael Bejarano trying to foster out his early speed. Leads by a length and a half. Tracking him is Thatch in second. Go Virtual on the far outside is third. And that opening quarter, moderate, 24 seconds flat. So down the backstretch run. On spot. Here's Thatch a little bit closer. And so too Go Virtual to make it 3 across the track with 5 furlongs to go. But on spot holds on to that lead. Lets it out just a little bit. Thatch is right there, so too Go Virtual, 2 lengths back, Command Central. Big Pete's coming under a ride toward the inside, 5th. Little Red Rifle launching a rally on the far outside in 6th, and Hey Boss is the trailer. Round the far turn, still on spot with a short lead. Thatch has been stalking intently throughout, and these 2 go on with it now. Go Virtual's been left behind in third, the rest with lots to do. They come for the top of the stretch. Thatch is looking for the lead. On spot's trying to hold it. They come off the turn together, and Thatch has grabbed the lead. It's Thatch in front. On spot fights on, but is back into a clear second. Go Virtual is third. Hey Boss is rallying boldly, was last earlier, was just fourth, is now third, is running up into second. Thatch in front by 2. Hey Boss is trying to make it interesting. Hey Boss, last to first. Running down Thatch. On spot third, Go Virtual fourth.
Number 1, Hey Boss, up the inside, able to run down your favorite. They come out of that common race on September 15th, and he was last early and able to sneak up the inside and certainly seemed to handle the distance.
Yeah, jockey John McKee doing his Calvin Burrell impersonation, just marrying himself to the rail here. You know, more often than not, Acacia, it's a dangerous move coming from last and staying along the inside, but field was kind of strung out a little bit, was able to move just inside of a tiring on spot and able to reel in Thatch, who once again, maybe a little bit of a distance limitation here as Thatch looked home Jerome at the 8th pole, but Hey Boss came and got the money.
Hey Boss in the late stages up the inside. It was 1-5, your favorite defeated in the opener at Churchill Downs. We'll get ready for the opener at Belmont at the Big A, and the New York bred 2-year-olds will be in the spotlight for these fillies. There's a look at Miss Fashionista, first-time starter for Todd Pletcher. We'll talk more about her and the rest of the field after this.
Malathon, here comes Clariere on the outside. They're coming to the finish, and it's going to be Clariere. Nest, much the best. She won by better than 10 lengths. Cody's Wish on the outside. Cody's Wish with the upset in the Fargo. Malathon grabs the lead in deep stretch, and Malathon has won the Personal Ensign Stakes.
Curling, the classic sire.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Nairo Bets.
We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
The sun shines bright on Caraconte. His first crops of racing age are showing brilliance on the racetrack with a high percentage of stakes winners. His versatility is evidenced by winners on all surfaces across the globe. And his offspring are lighting up the sales ring. With his biggest and best quality of books in the pipeline, the sun shines bright on this value sire. Caraconte, standing at Gainesway.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Spirited, strong, speedy. Just a few of the S words Rockridge owner Lorraine Visagi uses to describe the first foals of stallion Disco Partner.
It's a horse that, with what we've seen on foals so far, there will be a lot of upside in this horse in the next couple of years once this first baby starts running.
Time flies if you're having fun or reliving Disco Partner's back-to-back wins in the Jaipur Invitational Stakes. In the 2017 running, he stopped the clock in the 6 furlong turf race in world record-setting time.
Holy mackerel!
105.67.
They're off.
When he won the Jaipur again in 2018, it had been elevated from Grade 3 to Grade 2 status.
And Disco Partner did it again.
Disco Partner's speed wasn't the only astonishing thing about him.
He was actually a horse that ran 33 times, so if you ever wanted something sound, this will be the horse.
From those 33 starts, Disco Partner won 11 races, including 4 stakes, placed in 12 additional stakes, and amassed nearly $1.5 million in earnings. Disco Partner was bred by outstanding New York breeder Patricia Generazio, who is now supporting the stallion with some of her best mares.
He himself is a very balanced horse. He's not a big horse, but balance I think is what helped him to be so sound in his career, and you see that in a lot of his young foals, that they are balanced and they are very, very interesting, and I think you'll be very happy as they mature.
For more information, you can check out nybreds.com to take a look at the New York Thoroughbred Breeding and Development Fund. Can't wait to see those Disco Partners on the racetrack. And Disco Partner, a 2-time winner of the Belmont Turf Sprint Championship, which we will get a chance to see run later today. I agree with Andy. It should be named the Disco Partner.
Yeah, I have no problem
Belmont
with that.
Turf Sprint Championship.
I'd like to do it a little more quickly as well. Get these horses while they're still fresh in people's and fans' minds.
I think it's
get
nice.
them their recognition. I agree.
New York bred 2-year-old fillies to kick off the card at Belmont at the Big A. Anthony will meet the field starting with Pretty Miss Keen.
Flash speed in her debut, and she didn't take a ton of money. We'll see if her experience helps her in the slop today.
Here is currently your favorite, the number 3, Miss Fashionista.
First-time starter by Bernardini. Dam was 3 for 13. They paid $250,000 for this horse in April at the OBS sale.
Worked 10-1 at that 2-year-old sale. Here is Bantera.
Took money in both starts. In fact, was favored. Ran well behind Miracle first time out. Did not fire second time as a 7-5 favorite. See if Jose Lascano can turn her luck around.
Clover Street, a first-time starter.
Dam is 0 for 5. 1 try on the grass. Ho-hum work tab with Trevor McCarthy aboard.
Here is the number 6, Vax.
She has 2 half siblings that raced really well on wet tracks right here at Aqueduct for the connections by Sharp Azteca, who's had a good start at stud.
That includes A Freud of Mama. Here is the number 7, Reign of Thunder.
Tried the turf first time out for a low percentage connections. Was a big price that day on the turf, a big price this afternoon in the slot.
That's the field for the opener of the 2-year-old fillies as we welcome in Richard Migliori here with us. Richie, a fun way to kick off Woodward Days with these young horses. What are you seeing from them?
It really is a very well-behaved group. Everybody was really minding their manners in the paddock. We'll talk about the one horse, Pretty Miss Keynes, who does have a start under her belt, showed good speed that day. And I do think with young horses, particularly in, off conditions like this, a sloppy track where the kickback's going to come back even more intense, having speed is something that will be beneficial. She does come back after a race with a sharp gate work last time. Not something you see very often. She seemed to break okay on debut, but I think that'll just make her sharper, and she's certainly acting the right way. Conducts herself with a lot of class. 3-horse Miss Fashionista, very sharp-looking daughter of Bernardini. I look at work tabs more than I look at times of works, and I love her work tab going back to July 29th, basically uninterrupted, working roughly once a week, about every 7 days. That tells me a horse is doing well and didn't have any interruptions in their training. We'll go on to the 5-horse. Work tab goes back even further than that, and I agree with Anthony, maybe not an eye-catching work tab, but she has not missed a beat since June 25th, basically working once a week. And I think that puts a lot of foundation, a lot of miles in a horse. Now, she did leave the pony, had some buck in her, got a couple of big buck jumps out of her system, and then galloped off nicely. Looked like she got over this ground pretty well, as a matter of fact. And the 6-horse Vax, who will ultimately be my top selection. Her work tab goes back uninterrupted to July 25th. Again, tells me you got a healthy horse. She's out of Mama Teresa. Mama Teresa, the dam of Freud of Mama, who won the Stallion Stakes in the mud. Sharp Azteca has been off to a very good start as a freshman sire, and he's 3 for 11, limited sample, with horses in off-going, and she just had a real good look to her. Very, very sharp. Maybe could be a little bit more tucked up, but Mike Maker's horses tend to carry a bit of weight. Real good way to start the opener. The future, it's all about 2-year-olds.
Indeed it is. Richie, thank you. As we take a look at one for Rapoli Stables, this New York bred 2-year-old filly by Bernardini, Miss Fashionista. She did sell for $250,000 at the OBS April sale, going 10-1. And it's interesting, actually, kind of looking at her on track as well. She kind of stacks up what I saw from the work, and that she did it well, but she didn't look to me, Anthony, like she had a ton of push behind, and she did kind of level herself off later. When you're watching these 2-year-old sales breezes, sometimes they'll really be asked early on. That's not necessarily a bad thing. What you want them to see is leveling off there and finishing up well, which she eventually did.
And to Acacia's point, you see she's getting a lot more ground on her front end than she is on her hind end. What that says for a day like today, from my experience, the way she was getting over that ground, she should have an easy time getting over the sloppy track.
For sure.
Kind of skipping's the wrong term, but it's the first term that comes to mind. Kind of just skipping over it and not really extending as much. She's taking some money. The problem is the 3 horses that have run, the 2 horses that have run on the dirt, the 1 Pretty Miss Keynes and the 4 Bantera, they really haven't run that fast. And it's Todd Pletcher and Arad Ortiz Jr. This is where the public will default more often than not. So I'm not surprised this horse is the favorite. When you look at the board, though, the horse that's really taking the money, I think, is the horse that Richie and I have both picked, and that's number 6, Vax, who is by Sharp Azteca. We talked about how he's gone off to a pretty good start at stud. This dam has produced 5 horses. 2 are New York bred stakes winners. 2 didn't do much running at all. 1 was okay. I don't know if this is the tiebreaker. But the fact that the family's had some success on a wet track, I think, gives you a little confidence. And if you're looking for an alternative to the favorite, I was not thrilled with the horses who had experience in here. I put the firsters 1-2, Vax over Miss Fashionista 6-3. But with that said, Pretty Miss Keynes showed a good amount of speed in her debut, and she draws the rail today, and she has the experience. So if one of the runners were to win, I would think it would be the filly that had some speed, the 1 Pretty Miss Keynes.
Pretty Miss Keynes, a 2-year-old filly by Shackelford, who faced a security code who seemed to be favorite going into the Joseph A. Jimma, though she did disappoint. Stonewall Star did come out of that race to break her maiden in her subsequent start. I still think that she faced some good company on debut up at the Spa, and the fact that she showed speed in her first start for 2-year-olds, I like more than anything, or even any first-time starter, a horse that maybe shows some speed and then backs up a little bit. You're going to expect them to have some more stamina in their next start.
She's already went the 6 furlongs. She did so in her debut. I agree. It gives her a little foundation, having already gone the 3/4 of a mile. Like the others, she has to handle the wet track today. And we got a good amount of rain overnight into the morning. Thankfully, able to save the stakes. 2 of our other races, we'll cover one of them together. You'll cover all of them today. We'll cover one of them together in a little bit. The second race came off the turf, but there's a good amount of moisture in the racetrack, and that's obviously the monkey wrench, right, thrown into it for everybody is the 3. Miss Fashionista takes a little bit more money now and ticks down to 3-2 favoritism. Yeah, we'll see how they all handle it today. You know, it's just one more thing these fillies, young fillies, and any young horse really being asked to handle in here, is dealing with that wet track. And, you know, sometimes the kickback is something that is discouraging on a fast track. But on a track like this, it could be even more so, just getting that slop just kicked back into your face. So maybe it does give horses, especially younger horses with speed, a little bit of an advantage. We'll see if either of the firsters who are taking some money can use some speed early on if they have it.
What about the 4 Bantera? She's been favored in both of her starts so far, and she did work 10 flat at the OBS April sale as well. So she was one that was a little bit of a buzz horse coming into Saratoga. Well beaten by Miracle, who looked to be a good one in her first start, and then really disappointed last time.
Yeah, Hall of Famer Steve Asmussen. I talked to Steve yesterday. He's staying in Kentucky. Weather kind of scared him away. He's going to stay in Kentucky for the day, so Gulfport later on in the Champaign. Yeah, you know, she's been okay. She took a lot of money in both of her starts.
Yep.
And she ran to the money first time out. She took even more money second time out, and I agree with you. That might be an okay bunch. Stonewall Star, the Barry Schwartz horse, might be okay.
Yeah, she got a 75 buyer speed figure for her next start, I believe.
She might be okay. So I don't disagree, but she was really. This filly regressed in a big way. With plenty of time between a little over 5 weeks between starts, she just did not fire second time out. Hey, listen, if you took her at 2-1 and 7-5 in her first 2 starts, you're getting 7. You can get more than even today.
We'll see 2-year-old fillies, the New York breds, in the spotlight for the first race on Woodward Day. A fun way to kick off the card with these young fillies. We'll see who could potentially have some big things in her future. John Imbriel standing by for the rest of the load and call.
Field of 6 set to go. In this first race at 6 furlongs, main track is sloppy. Final horse, Reign of Thunder, moving in, and we are set for the Saturday opener. And they're off. And it is Bantera and Pretty Miss Keynes, and those two are right together, and they quickly get away from the rest of the field. They're in front here by 4.5, 5 lengths, and it is Pretty Miss Keynes down at the rail who has the lead over Bantera. Then a break of almost 6 lengths back to Clover Street. Down on the inside, Miss Fashionista is now coming on through. And then it is Vax on the extreme outside, and a Reign of Thunder is the trailer in 6th. And it is Pretty Miss Keynes who ran the opening quarter 22-3. Bantera runs in 2nd. 4 lengths back to Miss Fashionista in 3rd. Then comes Clover Street and Vax. Those two are together. And farther back is a Reign of Thunder. Now Bantera heads for home with the lead here. It is Bantera in front through a half mile and 47-1. Pretty Miss Keynes running in 2nd. And Miss Fashionista is next in 3rd. Then Clover Street in 4th. It is all Bantera who is drawing away here in the stretch. She's really gobbling up the slop here. Bantera winning here. Oh, seemed to shy away there from something in the in deep stretch there, but nonetheless, Bantera much the best to take the first.
She's still a young filly, but much the best indeed. Bantera, as if you liked her as a favorite in her first 2 starts, hope that you stayed with her at 3-1 today.
You got all your money back. 3-1. You actually made some money today.
And it looked like she kind of jumped the tracks or
it was the
like
it was the hoof prints. So you'll see there was plenty of rain here, like we said. There's some puddles and some water on the track. And once she goes to the middle of the track, she almost ran to those hoof prints where the horses left the ponies and left the warm-up right there.
Yep.
As soon as she saw the hoof prints, she said, this is why we have maintenance breaks during the mornings. That's during training hours. Is why we have maintenance breaks between races. You gotta get to those hoof prints. Yeah, you got 3-1 today. She made things very easy. The experience paid off big time here. Her and the one, Pretty Miss Keens, pretty much had it to themselves the whole way. Pretty Miss Keens gets herself involved in a photo that she loses ultimately to first-time starter Clover Street.
Bentera, the winner. Richie, still a young filly, still figuring things out.
Yeah, she was so far clear. She had no company to keep her focus. And two things I think were in play here, guys. What Anthony said with the hoof prints, that's exactly where they turned around in the post parade. They went back about 40, 50 yards past the wire and then made that turn. So you've got that, hoof print pattern in a circle there. I think she spotted that. And also, there's enough freestanding water on the track that it's creating kind of a sheen. I was noticing it when I was standing out here talking about them warming up. So some horses are going to see it, and their depth perception's different than people, and they see some of that standing water, and they're like, whoa, wait a second, is that an inch deep or 10 feet deep? But she just didn't have any company to keep her focus going forward. But, boy, did she like the mud, that's for sure.
Anybody that's ever been around horses knows puddles are known to be horse killers.
Yes. Puddles.
They're very terrifying.
Puddles are not, because, Richie brings up a lot of good points there that, it's not something.
You can see it well right there.
Yeah, you can really see it right there. She's still learning. Like you said, she's just making her third start, dealing with the wet track today, a lot of different things to navigate today.
We saw pretty much where the post parade took place. Bentera doing a little jumper activity in the stretch as well. But Bentera in her third start, much the best. This 2-year-old filly for Steve Asmussen, of course, has a 2-year-old colt in Gulfport waiting in the wings a little bit later on in the Champagne.
Catholic Boy, one of only 3 American 3-year-old colts in history to win Grade 1s on both dirt and turf, including the immortal Secretariat. A 6-time graded stakes winner from ages 2 to 4, and the fastest 3-year-old of his crop over 10 furlongs.
He's so impressive today, the others didn't even have a prayer!
Look for his first crop yearlings at the upcoming sales. Dual surface Grade 1 winner Catholic Boy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Gunrunner makes his move for the lead as they come to the top of the stretch in the Woodward. Neolithic put to a full-out drive, and then comes Rally Cry and War Story on the outside, but it's Gunrunner, and he's opening up. Florent Giroux took a peek to his left there. Gunrunner's got a 6-length lead in mid-stretch. Neolithic is next, then Rally Cry, Discreet Lover, and War Story, but they're way behind Gunrunner. Gunrunner, very impressive in the Woodward.
Gunrunner in the 2017 Woodward. I remember once while he was racing interviewing Steve Asmussen, and he said, Gunrunner just does everything better than everyone else. And it turns out that that's held true for him as a sire as well, Anthony.
Unbelievable. That performance last Saturday, 5 stakes, 2 grade 1s. Nothing I've ever seen. I don't think it's something we might not see again. He might be the only one who could do it at this point.
A tremendous racehorse on the track, and has turned out to be a tremendous sire as well. Gunrunner, spectacular in the 2017 Woodward. We'll see who adds their name to the history books with the Woodward a little bit later on today. We get ready for race number 2 at Churchill Downs. It is an allowance race going 5.5 furlongs on the main track for fillies and mares. Currently 2-1 favorite to the outside with Minute Waltz, as this filly for Phil Bauer does cut back in distance. And we saw a lot of winners for Phil Bauer in Saratoga, Anthony. This one was not one of them.
No, then the barn's gone a little bit quiet here.
We'll meet the rest of the field, starting with Shania.
Yeah, has picked up checks on all 3 of her starts since a January layoff, including one here for $50,000 over at Churchill Downs.
Here's Shell Shock off a 3rd place finish.
Yeah, haven't seen her in a little over 2 months. She's 0 for 4 at Churchill, but she ran well at Ellis Park. Broke her maiden 3 starts back at Keeneland for a tag.
She's 3-1 right now, as is the number 3 Comedy Act. First off, a little bit of a layoff.
Her lone victory came beneath the Twin Spires back in May. She ran 3rd and 4th. Subsequently, a little bit of a break. Looks like she'll be forward in here.
She's 5-2 now, as we take a look at Icy River, filly by Keen Ice.
Chipped across the river to Horseshoe Indy to break her maiden in an off the turf race and start number 8. 4 second-place finishes in her career.
Next will be a filly coming in from Colonial, in my opinion.
Yeah, got her first start on the main track. Took a bunch of money last time. Did not run 2 steps, beating home just 1.
And here is currently your favorite, Minute Waltz. She has back class, but it's been a long time since she's seen the winner's circle.
Hasn't won since doing it as a juvenile. She did it beneath the Twin Spires. She's hit the board in 6 of her 7 tries. She's been off the board, beaten a long way at Churchill and Saratoga in her last 2 starts. She gets Lasix back after racing without Lasix last time.
She's 2-1 on the board right now with Rafael Bejarano, as we'll check in with Paula Duca.
Yeah, confusing race here, Acacia and Anthony. You know, this is a race with some fillies in here that are just kind of confusing. So we'll start with the outside filly in Minute Waltz. And, you know, Phil Bauer, who had a tremendous meet, we all know that, at Saratoga, has come here to Churchill Downs. Some of his horses haven't run as well as they did up in upstate New York. And, you know, this is a horse that does have good numbers here at Churchill Downs. But this horse hasn't won in 2 years. That's the worry you have here. Now, is this the group that she finally faces that maybe she can get over that hump? They have tinkered with the Lasix. She's ran with Lasix about 7 times. She's ran without Lasix like 4 or 5 times. So I can't figure that angle out at all. When I get to the other horses in here, you get to the 3, Comediac, and the 4 in here, Icy River. Comediac's working great guns in the morning. So I would think those 2 horses have got to go to the front end. I think this is a very, very fast pace. The 2, Shell Shock, is another horse that really has improved the past horses. And, you know, she's 1 for 16. In my opinion, is the question mark horse, the 5 in here. I can't believe this horse is actually 10-1. Anthony made a very good point. This horse got bet last time out at Colonial. First time ever getting on dirt. So obviously the horse was working well over the dirt. Did not get an awful number that fits with this field. But I have to land on the 1, Shania. This is a filly in here that, if you look back, the form was spotty, spotty, spotty. They put blinkers on this horse in November and last year. Then they laid her up, like Anthony said. In her last 3 races, progressively, she's gotten better and better. She doesn't need to lead the win. I think she gets that pocket trip. And Acacia, you're still the one.
Aw, thanks, Polly. I love that. It's very smooth.
I see what he did there.
I see what he did there. I love it.
Oh, Paul.
I love it. It's the best.
Maybe we'll get this guy over here in the Equestrians to play it next.
Yeah, we're back to the smooth jazz, if anybody's wondering now. I was just a little jealous, honestly, because Paul always updates us on the music that's going on at Churchill. He's got some Katy Perry going, some Beatles, whatever it may be.
It's a Sinatra kind of day in New York.
Yeah, so I had to give people the music.
It's autumn in New York.
Yeah,
but it's, you know, it's a cool autumn day. all the both baseball teams are in the playoffs. We're going to have some October baseball. We have a wonderful card here today. One of the best horses in the country. It's just, there should be a little Sinatra playing today. I don't think this guy's pulling off Sinatra. Quickly, just want to interject here. I think Comedy Act is my best play of the day. I don't like the price of 2-1, but she is the fastest of these fillies. And this race is at 5.5 furlongs, which is not a race you often see written for older horses and horses that have already won. I think it plays along the lines of them not having a turf course down there, and they write the 5.5 turf races. I think she's going to go to the top to the end of Joe Talamo and make every polo winning one.
She has the speed. She's been working sharp in the mornings. There goes your favorite Minute Waltz to the outside. Race 2 at Churchill. Here's Travis Stone.
They're in the gate. And they're off. And Shania breaks well. In my opinion, is there. So too Icy River, far outside Minute Waltz. Comedy Act. Comedy Act comes on through aggressively and is up to grab the lead. Icy River moves with that one. Minute Waltz on the outside is away third. Shania toward the rail fourth, in my opinion, is now fifth. And Shell Shock is at the back. Far turn. Comedy Act pressed by Icy River. And Minute Waltz is right there to their outside, the three of them, through a quarter in 22 and 3. Round the far turn, Comedy Act short lead, Icy River. Minute Waltz cranks up the pressure. Three of them across the track, in my opinion, is right in behind in fourth. Shania's down inside fifth. Off the turn, Minute Waltz is up for the lead. Minute Waltz has taken over. Down inside, Comedy Act fights on with Icy River. Shania's trying to come on late, in my opinion, down to the final 16th. And Minute Waltz has kicked away. And Minute Waltz crushed them. 4 lengths on the wire. Shania was second, in my opinion, was third, and Comedy Act was fourth.
Minute Waltz, your favorite, a winner. She gets back to the winner's circle for the first time in a long time for Phil Bauer.
Yeah, it was a long time between drinks for this daughter of Nyquist, who the cut back, getting back to a fast track, and she was able to make pretty easy work of this bunch.
Her first win since her debut, October 31st, 2020.
Ooh, Halloween. Halloween, baby.
That's right. She gets back to the winner's circle today. Filly by Nyquist for Phil Bauer. And she's built more like a sprinter. This seemed to be the right spot for her. And maybe just a combination of everything coming together, plus back on a fast track. And she's now two of her wins, both wins coming at Churchill Downs. It was the number 6 Minute Waltz in the second race at Churchill. We've got plenty more live action to come, including with some 2-year-olds a little bit later on here in New York as they prep for the Breeders' Cup, the prestigious Grade 1 Champagne. Will it be Gulfport, or will it be New York-bred Andiamo La Firenze, or someone else?
The Fasig-Tipton Mid-Atlantic Fall Yearling Sale, offering a catalog of more than 500 yearlings from many of the sport's most lucrative state-bred programs. Among America's top yearling sales by percentage of 2-year-old winners, with recent stars like Leave No Trace, winner of the Grade 1 Spinaway Stakes, plus over 85 stakes wins or placings this year. Mid-Atlantic Fall Yearlings, Monday and Tuesday, October 3rd and 4th in Timonium, Maryland. Where will you be?
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
come together from every corner of the globe in pursuit of the one reward that sets the special few apart. The title of World Champion. Don't miss racing's ultimate coronation. The Breeders' Cup World Championships at Keeneland. Tickets on sale now.
You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you by Run Happy, a sire whose progeny can carry his speed from all distances on all surfaces. So we get ready for today's Grade 1 Champagne. It's coming up in race number 10, and winning you're in for the Breeders' Cup at Juvenile, in a race that has been won by some true greats, and not using that word lightly over the years.
Always one of my favorite races of the year. Probably a top 5. There are occasions it's cracked the top 3 occasions. I love the Champagne, yeah. Here's the hopeful. Gulfport, who was perfect 2 for 2 at Churchill Downs to start his career. Tasted defeat not once but twice up in Saratoga. He's going to get his 4th rider in his 5th start. Blazing Sevens finished 3rd, so the 2nd and 3rd place finishers out of the hopeful. Going to renew a little bit of a rivalry here at the Big A in this Champagne. I don't, you know, a lot of people, despite his pedigree, think that Gulfport is going to have some distance limitations. I'm one of them. Blazing Sevens, to me, did not handle that wet track as well as I would have liked to have seen last time, especially coming back on this track today. But that's a pretty good lap. I mean, this is just the last 3 years. You have a sprint champion in there, a horse that's any kind in Jack Christopher, and a Belmont Stakes and Run Happy Travers winner in Tis the Law. So the last few renewals, this is a great renewal, a fun renewal today. The 2017 winner, Firenze Fire, his little brother Andiamo Firenze is in here as well. So there's a lot of history in this Champagne. Like you said, the who's who, right? Back before the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, this championship for the 2-year-olds was more often than not settled at beautiful Belmont Park in the Champagne, and we have a nice renewal today.
Looking forward to seeing who takes a step forward, who can handle the mile distance, how will the pace play out, as well as there could be a little bit of speed on the front end. Back here today, we get ready for race 2. Belmont at the Big A. Taking a look at the field here. Reminder, race 2 is off the turf. So this is 2-year-old fillies will be run at a mile on the main track. Currently the number 5, Justifiable Bell, 2nd-time starter, is one of the favorites. As we'll get a paddock report, check in with Richie.
Yeah, thanks, Acacia. And of course, now with the surface switch, we're trying to guess which one of these young ladies, which were turf meant, will handle the off-going here. Looking at them from a physical perspective, I thought the 3 Nicks made a really nice impression. A first-time starter, half to spin wheel. It's got a nice work tab. And from a physical perspective, she gives me more of the impression that dirt will be okay. I mean, obviously they wanted turf, but was it because of the surface or because they were looking for more distance for them? I thought Nicks was very well turned out. Has a good fit look to her. You know, I'm sure she'll be better for the race, but I like what I'm seeing from her. The 4, La Vida Sofia, to me, she looks like a dirt horse. She's the one who caught my eye the most. She gets the paddock check mark for sure. Certainly the way her feet are, her pasterns, I think she's going to skip over the top of this wet going. She also is a half to Beautiful Grace, who is 2 for 2 in wet going. And your favorite, Justifiable Bell, is a half to Princess Mo, who was a dirt winner. Talked with Todd Pletcher, her conditioner. He said she's trained well enough on the dirt. She's better on turf, but well enough that he thought she deserved the try here. And pretty much as everybody's in the same boat. They were looking for grass, but they've got dirt, so we'll see who handles it the best.
Plenty of questions for these 2-year-old fillies. Richie, thank you. Originally scheduled for the turf, this maiden special weight to be run on the main track. Justifiable Bell, who did run quite well on debut on the turf, Anthony, will try the dirt for the first time. And maybe it is a vote of confidence that Todd Pletcher does leave her in after a good effort on the grass.
The winner of Justifiable Bell's debut was a prohibitive favorite.
Phil Bauer, 2nd-time starter.
Yeah. Andy Serling and I on Talking Horses this morning debated this point a little bit. Shocker. I don't think this filly took too much money first time out. But when you have a prohibitive favorite, you can't. It's not a great gauge. Todd's not known for running first-time starters on the turf and really winning that prolifically with them, so I understand that. Her pedigree on paper kind of tells you she can run on both surfaces. Dam was 2 for 2 on the turf, but she was also 1 for 2 on the main track. She's your 2-to-1 favorite right now. I can't imagine anybody's going to go shorter than this, just because there's just too much unknown in here. Yeah, I mean, I picked her on top, but part of the reason I picked her is the 2 Belmont firsters are trained by Belmont, and he just does not win that often with first-time starters.
We'll start off the post race with another first-time starter. Here's Senora Loca.
Daughter of 2-time Breeders' Cup Classic winner Tiz Now debuts for a barn that does not often win first time out of the box.
And she's very green with the pony out there. Good job by Trevor McCarthy staying on and getting her to settle. Here's Next.
Half to Turf Stakes winner Moon Over Miami by the great Ghost Zapper. A steady work tab down at Belmont Park since June for her debut.
Here's La Vida Sofia.
From the connections who bring you Bella Sophia, this daughter of cross traffic, tried going along on the turf first time and cut back to a mile in the slop today.
Another one being a little green, stepping onto the track. Here's the 5, Justifiable Bell.
Yeah, by that Triple Crown winner from 2018 out of a Giants Causeway mare. Mare's 1 on the dirt, should not have a problem handling the surface switch. Going to take a short price, though.
Freitas the Red, the French bred.
Now, this is one that I don't know. This is a smart move by Kenny McPeak. You try something different. She's all turf. We'll see if she can handle the dirt.
And first-time starter to the outside, River Oaks.
Another well-bred filly, Medaglia d'Oro, out of an Unbridled Song mare. Wet track shouldn't be a problem. Dirt shouldn't be a problem. Belmont reaches out to one of his head guys, Joel Rosario. She's taking a little money in here, too, at 4-to-1.
Damn, the sister to Grade 1 winner, Cross Traffic. So there is actually a pedigree for her to be able to handle the main track. You can follow along and get all of the stats on the horses, trainers, and jockeys in today's races with free Echo-based past performances. Visit NYRA.com/TV schedule to download your free past performances on all the races on today's show. Saw Joelle Rosario giving River Oaks a warm-up. She has a nice pedigree, and there's always guesswork with the 2-year-old fillies, even more guesswork when you do see a change in the surface, and that's why pedigree really can be such a good crutch in a situation like this.
Yeah, and it's helpful that even though this filly debuted on the turf, Justifiable Bell, that, you know, the dam has won. Obviously, her sire is a Triple Crown winner, though I do wonder if the Scat Daddy influence, the late great Scat Daddy influence on Justify maybe makes him a little bit more of a turf sire. Obviously, jury's out and will be for quite a while. I'm not one to rush to judgment. I remember when I was a kid, you'd give a sire 4 or 5 years before they really would establish themselves. We just live in a different world now.
Into Mischief, a good example.
Yeah, great example. Probably the best
He's
example.
become the hottest sire, one of the hottest sires in the world now, and it didn't start off that way.
It did not start off that way. Yeah, great example, Acacia. Yeah, the filly on your screen right now, River Oaks, she's got a nice warm up. Nice looking filly. I wonder, she's got the outside draw. I don't think the wet track's going to be a problem. She looks alert out there. Richie will talk more about that, but she looks good on the racetrack. I like the way she's handling herself.
Well, you ask and you shall receive. Let's go check in with Richie. What are you seeing from these fillies on track?
Well, I continue to like the 4-horse guys. La Vida Sofia, excuse me, how to get that out. You know, I just think she really is suited to dirt. I like the way she looked in the paddock. Was a little green starting off, but settled in nicely. So she's going to be my top selection, and I do like her. But the 9-horse River Oaks really elevated for me watching her warm up. Lighter frame filly skipped over the ground nicely. Really seemed like she was getting over the top of the surface. Now, there's a good seal on it, but there is some standing water. And, you know, when it comes to 2-year-olds, we saw in the first race, horses were spread out a great deal. Riders are careful about the kickback with young horses. They react more negatively, particularly in conditions like this, and get discouraged easily. So, you know, we saw horses spread from basically the inside to about the 6 or 7 path. And then, of course, your winner spotted those tracks and the sheen of the standing water on the track and reacted a bit negatively. So you've got to keep their attention and keep them going forward and not give them an opportunity to do something. It's, you know, if you wait to react till they do something, that moment's passed and it's too late. You've got to anticipate and be very in tune with your horse to be able to keep their attention and keep them going forward. And I'm just going to take a stab here because there's more standing water in the first 3 paths towards the rail that maybe people will be looking to avoid the inside, and we'll see more horses running wide today.
All right, Richie, thank you. One who has won many a race here at the Big A. As we welcome in Jonathan Kinchin here with us. JK, happy Woodward Day. And some guesswork certainly to do early on in this card.
Yeah, these races are always a little bit tricky for the lightly raced horses that show up off the turf because you have no previous experience to try to figure out how they'll handle it. One of the things I like to do is look through the work tab. If there's turf works on the work tab and they're turf mint, then it kind of makes me think, they probably need the grass. That's what kind of helped me land on the 9 River Oaks. I didn't really see any turf works in the work history. It's a Medaglia d'Oro. A lot of times these horses can obviously handle the dirt. And if you look at the pedigree, the dam Not in Jest was a $500,000 mare. So she's obviously probably pretty good looking, pretty athletic. So I'm just hoping that this horse should have no problems kind of skipping over the ground. And the other thing is with lightly raced horses on a sloppy racetrack, I upgrade horses with outside post because it helps them to avoid this kickback. The kickback on a sloppy racetrack is a little bit more pronounced than you'll get on a fast racetrack. And for a young horse, I think that that's a plus to be able to be out in the clear and not have to lose momentum and also not have to run into that kickback, which can sometimes be a little bit confusing for these young horses. So they're taking some money on the board with the 9 River Oaks, and they'll get my money as well.
She makes sense on pedigree and some more good points there. Jonathan, thank you. River Oaks to the outside win of 2 for trainer Belmont in this race. And we do see him leaving both of these horses in. And next, the other one for Belmont, the number 3, she is the one that kind of has more of a turf pedigree. Her dam was precocious, but she was second in the Jessamine. She was more of a turf runner. Moon Over Miami is a long-distance turf runner. But Richie brought up Spin Wheel, who's the other sibling who is good running on dirt.
Yeah. The other filly now, River Oaks, taking considerably more money. She's in fact co-second choice right now at 5-2. I wonder how much of that was her appearance, and I defer to you, Maggie, Richie, when it comes to this for the most part. Though I've spent enough time around horses to know when a horse is taken. It really, I mean, she looks the part.
Oh, I thought she looked terrific.
And now she's 2-1, and I would imagine a portion of this money is coming in just because of how good she looks. And more importantly than that, just how she's handling herself. It's her first time. It's a wet track. You know, she's dealing with all of these things for the first time, and she's done everything perfectly. We have a pretty cool vantage point here. You just turn around and you have the Big A right in front of you. She's done everything right. She's taken some money. She has the right kind of wet track pedigree as well on paper anyway. I think she's going to run well first time out.
2-year-old fillies in this off-the-turf second race. John and Brielle standing by with the call.
Riders off, number 1, Senora Loca. The final horse has moved in. Trevor McCarthy now getting back aboard Senora Loca. And we are set for the start of the second race. And they're off. And it is Justifiable Bell who is going out for the early lead. On the outside is Freitas Thread. Now coming on through is Nyxt. And Nyxt is going up to challenge for the lead. In between horses there is La Vita Sofia. Then it's a break of 4 lengths to Senora Loca, who runs in 5th. And trailing the field is River Oaks in 6th. And they head up the sloppy backstretch through a quarter in 23 and 3/5 seconds. And it is Nyxt on the inside and Justifiable Bell on the outside. And the two of them are heads apart for the lead. They've got a length and a half on La Vita Sofia, who sits in 3rd. Then comes Freitas Thread in 4th, and then a big break back to Senora Loca. And farther back in the field is River Oaks. The half-mile went in 48 and 4. The battle up front continues. Nyxt and Justifiable Bell, and there goes Freitas Thread on the outside up the challenge. So it's 3 of them across with La Vita Sofia just off of them and in 4th. Down at the rail, it is Nyxt. In between horses, Justifiable Bell, Freitas Thread on the outside. There's room at the rail for La Vita Sofia, and now she comes on through. 3/4 went in 1:15 and 1 over the sloppy track, and up the Inside is La Vida Sofia. Freitas the Red on the outside. La Vida Sofia is the leader here with Freitas the Red all out in second. La Vida Sofia in front inside the 16th pole. And La Vida Sofia pulls off the upset here. Freitas the Red was second. For the back, River Oaks came on for third over Senora Loca.
La Vida Sofia, 8-1. A great call by Richie, who liked this filly and everything that he saw from her on the track, as she seemed to handle the dirt just fine in her second start under apprentice Jose Gomez.
Finished just a handful of lengths behind your favorite Justifiable Bell in the turf debut. Was able to save ground, cut the corner. Good ride by Jose Gomez, who continues to win races on the circuit, getting the job done. Hats off to Kenny McPeak.
Yep.
He took a filly in Freitas the Red, who was all Euro and Asian pedigree here, and he decided to leave her in on the dirt. I think a lot of people probably thought it was a weird and strange move. She winds up getting the 3 lengths and running really well. It's always good to try different things.
A filly that he purchased for the U.S. equivalent of about $147,000 at the Arcana yearling sale, and she has now had 2 seconds, one on the turf, one on the dirt. There's winning trainer Rudy Rodriguez as fist bumps all around. Little shot from Projo photographer as well down in the winner's circle. La Vida Sofia getting the win, as maybe the number 9 River Oaks made a nice appearance. She closed late to be third distantly, but we'll look to see her on the turf.
Yeah, she just looked to lollygag around there early on, and Joel Rosario gave her a little bit of an education, just finding a different, putting her in different paths. And yeah, she came on running late to grab the show dough, and she might be one that looks for more ground as well.
Rudy Rodriguez, AirPod in. Hugs all around La Vida Sofia, this 2-year-old filly for his barn, breaking her maiden at second asking. When we come back, we'll talk about the Kentucky Derby winner returning to Churchill Downs. He's won 2 races beneath the Twin Spires, the Derby and his maiden win.
Nobody taught me how to be fast. Just when to be fast.
Nashville under no stress whatsoever. Simply incredible. Never asked for a thing. Track record.
This is one of the most impressive sprint performances that we have seen.
Alydar swinging to the outside, comes on too. It's a firm to head Derby Creek Road, but Alydar's coming at him, and it's Alydar on the outside who has a head in front.
In the 1977 Champagne Stakes, Alydar, truly talented 2-year-old, and so fun to follow that and see him as one of the great racehorses in history that has won the Champagne.
Yeah, Big FEC's not even in the screen right now. And there he comes. Sire, one of my favorite horses of all time, the Great Easy Goer.
Yeah.
See why. Just rolls on by. Hard to imagine that's 45 years ago.
Pretty incredible as you take a look at some notable Champagne winners. And this is quite a list, including the aforementioned Easy Goer.
Chick Lang on that call for Ali
Yeah.
Dar. Yeah, there's Easy Goer. Uncle Mo, of course, before heading on to Breeders' Cup Juvenile Glory. The only one on that list, actually, to get the job done in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Back in 2017, we talked about it earlier, Firenze Fire's little brother, Andiamo Firenze, in this year's renewal. A few years back in 2017, Good Magic finished second to Firenze Fire in that Champagne of 2017, and then came back to break his maiden in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile on his way to year-end honors as well.
Quite a way to do it in style in the Breeders' Cup. We'll see what kind of implications this year's Champagne will have moving forward onto that Breeders' Cup Juvenile winning year in coming up a little bit later on today. The 2-year-old fillies, meanwhile, in race number 2 off the turf. It was the number 4, La Vida Sofia, who was ready to roll at second, asking for Rudy Rodriguez.
Yeah, nice move here by Jose Gomez, who continues his hot riding ways here on the circuit. He's won 121 races this year, Acacia, and it puts him right in the middle of the Eclipse Awards talk for the Champion Apprentice rider, which Richie won many, many years ago. And he's won a lot of those races saving ground. The last few days here at Aqueduct, I don't know if saving ground is something you really want to do, but the rain kind of washed it away a little bit, and now you've seen horses being able to move inside. You saw the head-on going down the backstretch. There's a lot more water, like Richie pointed out, towards the inside. That didn't matter to Jose. He saved that ground, he cut the corner, and he was able to get the jump on Freitas to red, and I think in part helped him get La Vida Sofia out of the maiden ranks this afternoon.
$18.40 winner, great call, top pick by Richie in race 2, Belmont at the Big A. Turning the page over to Churchill Downs. It's time for race number 3, and we do have a delay before this third race. Let's check in for more with Paul Duca.
Yeah, Acacia, excuse me, an unfortunate situation here in the paddock as Gray Frost, the 5, actually backfired and kicked his jockey, Johnny McKee. Now, Johnny McKee has been tended to by the track people. He's been taken off on a stretcher. He got kicked in the left leg, and he was complaining of knee pain as well. So they're going to take him to the local hospital, see if everything's okay, get an MRI, and see if there's any damage to that leg. We do not have a replacement rider yet for the number 5, but our prayers go out for Johnny McKee. He didn't seem like he was too happy, and he was in a lot of pain. So it just looked like the left knee, nothing to do with unconsciousness or anything like that, but hopefully he'll be back on a horseback soon.
Paul, thank you. Our thoughts and prayers with John McKee, and hope that he will be doing okay soon. Appreciate the update. We'll bring you more from Churchill after this on America's Day at the Races.
Every hair, every muscle, every contour, every pulse. In the juvenile.
Essential Quality have won.
In the Belmont.
Essential Quality has won the Belmont Stakes.
Well named.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Personal Ensign on the outside is still in second. About 8 back to Flying Katuna. 3/4, 10 and 1. Personal Ensign now draws alongside Collins again, and those two pass the 8th pole together. Personal Ensign on the outside now takes a narrow lead. Collins on the inside, second by about 6, and Flying Katuna is third. Personal Ensign on the outside still has a narrow lead. Collins on the rail is still in second. Personal Ensign on the outside in front.
Personal Ensign in the 1986 Frazette, dueling every step of the way there, and we'll get a chance to see the 2-year-old fillies in the Frazette tomorrow.
One of 13 wins, a handful of them nail biters. Just think about how many times she was inches away from losing that undefeated record.
I'm so sorry.
Bless you, it's true. And a big win there for one of the best race mares. And I'll tell you what, a rare case of following it up in the breeding shed. I don't know what's so funny about this. By the way, you know, the first person that was ever in my ear on a TV show was my man, Mitch Levitas. So I give him just, my trust in him is just way too much. Chick Anderson on the call of the 77 Champagne, not Chick Lang, who of course a big name down in the Mid-Atlantic region for horse racing. So thank you, Mitch. Appreciate it.
I'm sorry for sneezing in everybody's ear.
It's off the rails. Everything's gone off the rails today.
That's it. That's it.
It's okay.
Unlike my mom. My mom is the only person I know that laughs when she sneezes, and unfortunately, I seem to have gotten that from her. Excuse me. Race number 8 tomorrow will be the Grade 1 Frazette, as we'll take a look at the spin-away. The couple of horses coming out of there, but the American Rocket at the beginning of the race, Anthony, she completely runs to that open space and was tough to handle for Junior Alvarado, giving herself so much more to do.
Tough to handle, okay. She was pleading it very, very mildly and extremely nicely to this young lady. Yeah, I mean, just making a right-hand turn out of the gate, and then you consider all the running she did thereafter. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting. It's going to be an interesting renewal of the Frazette. Raging Sea, as you saw, is going to come out of this race. So, still an interesting bunch of young ladies in here. Leave No Trace going to try to go back-to-back in Grade 1s. Stay Perfect in New York. She won one of those restricted races. Second time now in 5 years we've seen a restricted horse come back to win a Grade 1. British Idiom, of course, she went on to win the Breeders' Cup and the and year-end honors as an undefeated 2-year-old filly. So, yeah, we'll see if Leave No Trace can continue the hot streak. We'll see if American Rocket can get a little bit of a cleaner break, and we'll see how they all handle the extra furlong of the Grade 1 Frazette tomorrow afternoon.
Going a mile on the main track, and it'll be an interesting matchup between those two and a couple of other strong 2-year-old fillies as we head back over to Churchill Downs. Again, thoughts and prayers with John McKee, who was kicked by his mount in the paddock. Rafael Bejarano will be aboard Gray Frost as horses out on the track now. This 2-year-old filly race in the maiden claiming. Fabulosity, currently your favorite, tepid favorite for Joe Sharp as she takes a drop in class and going turf to dirt.
Yeah, you know, this was one of the races that I found, I don't want to say difficult, but I didn't have a lot of confidence in any of them. None of these fillies have really run that fast. Our man Tom Amos has had a fantastic meet beneath the Twin Spires for this little 2.5, 3-week run. He has the number 4 Cupid's Payday, a first-time starter. He reaches out for his main man, Morales. So I landed there, but I thought the 1 Fabulosity going back to the dirt, first time for a tag. The 3 Tenacious Lady doing the same thing. I thought there'd be a bigger discrepancy in price, but there's not. It's just a point. I think that might play the Tenacious Lady's favor, right? Because the blinkers go on, she switches surfaces, and all of a sudden now she's taking a ton of money for connections that won an awful lot of races at Oaklawn Park this past winter. We'll see if they can carry their success to Louisville. That's half the price she was on the morning line, though, to number 3, Tenacious Lady.
Eric Reed, meanwhile, sends out 2 in this race, including the number 2, Long Black Veil, which will be ridden by Sonny Leon. Of course, these two famously teamed up together to win the Kentucky Derby at 80-1, and a terrific ride by Sonny that day. And I thought how candid Eric Reed was in saying that it was some torture for him after the Belmont Stakes to have the opportunity in the Travers to prove that Rich Strike wasn't a fluke, and with that strong 4th place finish and separated noses apart from the likes of Cyberknife and Zandon, he proved that he belonged.
Yeah, that was a big, his Run Happy Travers effort really was, you know, you don't use this word too often, but it was a little heartwarming because he had gotten so much flack for really upsetting the apple cart in that Derby. The second and the 2 of the favorites run 2-3, and this horse comes, and I was one of them. I was 2nd and 3rd for a lot of money. Then he doesn't run well in the Belmont Stakes, and you kind of just felt skipping the Preakness and coming into the Belmont. It was just it was not a good recipe. But then he gets beaten a 3-horse photo against a couple of, Cyberknife's a 2-time Grade 1 winner. There's nothing wrong with Zandon, who now, I love this move, by the way. Zandon's going to cut back and point for the cigar mile, flat mile here at the Big A. Really looking forward to that. So, yeah, I mean, it was nice to see. And it's funny again, Acacia, because he is really, I would imagine the 3rd horse, the 3rd horse that's getting attention in that Art Collector, by the way, was the one I forgot before, who might very well be the favorite when all is said and done. You have Art Collector, you have Happy Saver, and you have Hot Rod Charlie. So you have 3 older horses taking on the 3-year-old today.
First time against older for Rich Strike in the Lucas Classic, but maybe a home court advantage, the hope for his connections as he's 2 for 2 at Churchill Downs. 2-year-old fillies in this maiden claiming race coming up in race number 3 at Churchill Downs as we see them loading into the gate, as it looks like it's the number 6, Miss Haley, who has that blanket around in the gate. Horses that are known to be a little bit trickier, try to get them to settle in that confined space. Young fillies that are, again, all figuring things out. Travis Stone standing by with the call, race 3.
They're in the gate, and they're off. And 12 Sharp out inside with a good beginning as they race up the chute. Fabulosity comes on through. Cupid's Payday is there, and Chipmunk on the outside. Fabulosity up to grab the lead. Cupid's Payday is running in 2nd. Chipmunk 3rd. Long Black Veil 4th through the inside. Tenacious Lady comes away in 5th. Fly Condor in the clear, while 6th. Miss Haley nudged along in 7th. Unkept Secret is 8th. Gray Frost advancing toward the inside, 9th. 3 lengths back to 12 Sharp, and it is at least 12, maybe a bit more than that, back to Royal Bell. And the opening quarter goes in 23-1. Fabulosity showing the way round the far turn. Cupid's Payday getting a little bit closer, but it's still Fabulosity. She holds on to that lead. Tenacious Lady looms up 3 wide. Unkept Secret, steady progress in behind 4th and cutting the corner. Off the turn, Fabulosity in front, heading for the 8th pole. Cupid's Payday fights on. Tenacious Lady, Unkept Secrets coming up the rail. 1 furlong to go. Cupid's Payday comes away with the lead. Unkept Secret down inside. Tenacious Lady. Gray Frost is late on the scene. Cupid's Payday's desperate for the wire and will get there. Cupid's Payday the winner. Unkept Secret settles for second. Tight for third. Tenacious Lady or Gray Frost.
Nice job by Edgar Morales getting this Daughter of Munnings into the game from Jump Street, chasing Fabulosity, and able to get the jump. Good ride on the 10 Unkept Secret. Jimmy Graham saving the ground on the Keith DeSormo runner for Calumet Farm, trying to make up ground along the inside as a young horse and early in the career. Tough to do. She almost gets the job done. She gets beaten just a length. The trouble horse in the paddock, Gray Frost, came from the moon to try to get a piece with Tenacious Lady. Fun, you know, for a $30,000 maiden claiming race, it was a fun race. Job gets done by our colleague Tom Amos, his 7th win, I believe, at the meet.
He and Edgar Morales are 24% together on the year, which is pretty impressive. Of course, Curly Jack, graded stakes winner throughout the meet at Churchill as well. And this filly by Munnings, she was a generous price versus a lot of the Tom Amos firsters that we've seen debuting at Churchill Downs. She wins at first asking. Good-looking son, or daughter, excuse me, of Munnings with that big white face.
Love 'em.
Ready to roll at first asking.
I'm a sucker for those white faces, those blazes. It's amazing.
The flashy ones, all the chrome. Race number 3, Belmont at the Big A. Coming up next, 7 furlongs on the main track. Lost in Rome, currently your favorite on the drop-in class for Gustavo Rodriguez. Talk more about him in a moment, starting off the post-parade with Runabout.
He used to be a mainstay on the circuit. He's been in Finger Lakes and Monmouth recently. Found some success there. Returns to the Big A as the 7-2 third choice.
Here's your current favorite, Lost in Rome.
It's not the greatest form, but it's certainly the best recent form of anybody in here. He drops to the lowest level of his career in a while. He has a couple of wins here at Aqueduct.
Here's the 4, Tapazirans, first off the claim.
Yeah, the Orlando Noda horses certainly starting to heat up here downstate as opposed to upstate. He's won a bunch of races, including upsetting the stakes race yesterday at $50. I think this horse is live on the front end today.
American Lincoln going turf to dirt. Here's the number 6, Invest.
American Lincoln used to have some speed. Invest does have some speed. I wonder how crowded the front end is in here with these 2 long shots maybe in the mix.
And there's Manifest Destiny.
A horse that has broken, that has won on the lead as well. We'll see what Tally Howell does from the outside draw, as the bulk of the money, Acacia, is on the 3 inside stalls of this starting gate.
There is Lost in Rome. You do get Joel Rosario for this class dropper for Gustavo Rodriguez. For more, let's check in trackside with Richie.
Yeah, guys, I don't know if I'm supposed to be on camera or not. I was looking at my Naira Bets account. But watching these horses in the paddock and then continue to warm up, we'll start with the 2, Lost in Rome. Could not look any better. Honestly, these horses that look good on paper, look good in the flesh here. So Lost in Rome is logical on paper and continues to look great on the racetrack. Horse that's going to be my top selection, and another one that looks fantastic in the flesh is the 4, Tapazirans. Really like what I saw from him. Think that he could be more forwardly placed. He's a horse that does have sprint kind of speed. Last time, things just didn't work out for him, but I do think with the Dropman class, he certainly looked good physically. And a horse that really spoke to me in the paddock. I mean, literally, like, looked me in the eye and spoke to me was the 5, American Lincoln. This is a horse that's been on the turf recently. He gets back to dirt sprinting. Now, he's going to have to go way back in his memory banks to find some of his better races, but he looks good in the flesh. He's carrying good weight. Maybe that time spent on the turf just kept him fit and maybe got him a little bit sounder and a little bit happier. But I think the 5, American Lincoln at 13-1 is a horse that I am definitely including with the favorites.
All right, Richie, thank you. At least he's honest, right? He was on Naira Bets. Nothing wrong with that.
That was a very that was an interesting segment with Richie. The horse was speaking to him, and he was on his Naira Bets account. I had a horse look at me one time and wink, and it was Woodward Day.
Wow.
29 years ago, Bertrando won by the length of the stretch.
Wow.
Beat one of my favorite horses, Devil Is Due. I bet Bertrando because he looked at me and winked.
I like it. Jonathan, have you ever had a horse wink at you?
Somebody's got to tell Anthony that you can only see, if you're standing to the side of a horse, you can only see one eye, and if they blink, it looks like they're winking at you. I think that horse was just blinking, Anthony, but, you know, maybe he did run off the screen because he winked at you. And I'm hoping that someone will wink at me at some point in the near future so I can find a winner.
Fair Fair enough, Jonathan. As race number 3 coming up here, 8-5 on your current favorite, Lost in Rome, as he does look to be. It's been a long time since he's been in the winner's circle. That's fair. But he's dropping back down to a level that he seems to fit at.
Yeah. I mean, this is where he kind of belongs. And for the record, I was walking with the devil as do people. So he winked. He did not blink. He winked at me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a long time for Lost in Rome. There's not a lot of recent form to go off of. Locally, anyway, Runabout has the best overall form recently. He has a win 2 back. But just locally, I would imagine he's kept the best company.
8-5 on Lost in Rome as we take a quick pause to welcome in regional networks. Stay with us on America's Day at the Races. You're watching America's Day at the Races. If you're just tuning in on Bally Sports Southern California or San Diego, we're glad to have you with us. Acacia Clement alongside Anthony Stabile as we're getting ready for race number 3 at Belmont at the Big A. It is Woodward Day. We did have a little bit of rain this morning, but luckily it's been pretty clear out there as of now, so we have our stakes later still on the turf.
Yeah, late last night into the morning, it pretty much has went away. Thankfully, the rain looks like we'll be able to keep the 2 grass races on later on today. Of course, the Woodward coming up, the Champagne as well, so a lot of great stakes action still ahead here. Belmont at the Big A.
Including race number 3, which is our next order of business. We're 7 furlongs on the main track in this claiming race for $10,000. Horses on the track, and Lost in Rome currently your favorite, as it's been a long time since he's in the winner's circle. But 2 back, Anthony, when he ran for the 12.5, he finished behind Quick Return, finishing 2nd that day. Quick Return came back to win again. This just seems like the appropriate level for this horse.
Yeah. I don't think it hurts that he's had some success on wet tracks. He's run better on some dry tracks, but I think it helps. Some people think it doesn't matter. I do. Yeah, and this is him 2 back, and this is on a good sealed track, much different racetrack today, but still some moisture in it. His last 2 races are just better, Acacia, than anything anybody else in here has really put together. You know, Tapazirance right now, your second choice at 2-1. He's coming off a couple of races where he's beaten a combined almost 70 lengths. But here, Lost in Rome, this is a competitive race. He came back in the subsequent start at Saratoga to take on an even tougher bunch of horses and get beat just a little less than 5 lengths. I think if he runs either of those 2 races, he's going to be ultra tough today.
What about the number 1 Runabout down to the inside? He is coming in off of races at the Finger Lakes and Monmouth, but has some good races on the go back.
Yeah, the out-of-town form, especially his last 2 races, are okay. They make him a competitor in here. He has races just this past winter at the Big A that make him a competitor for a different barn. I don't know if that version of Runabout exists anymore, or at the very least right now, but he has some back races that would crush these horses, absolutely.
Race number 3, Belmont at the Big A. Coming up next, we send it up to John Embriel with the call.
There in the gate. And they're off. Invest broke well. American Lincoln right there. Now Lost in Rome, the favorite, is moving up to challenge for the lead. And it's 3 of them across the track. Lost in Rome down at the rail. Invest is on the outside, and American Lincoln is in between horses. Then it's a length and a quarter. Back to Runabout, who runs in 4th. Alongside is Tapazirance, and Manifest Destiny is the trailer in 6th. It is Lost in Rome who has the lead through a quarter in 23 and 4. Lost in Rome now by a length. Then American Lincoln joined on the inside by Runabout. Invest is on the outside, followed by Tapazirance, and farther back Manifest Destiny as they go around the far turn. It's Lost in Rome who gets away now to lead by 2.5 lengths. Runabout is in 2nd. Tapazirance on the move and up into 3rd. Then Invest, who's back in 4th. American Lincoln is back running in 5th, and Manifest Destiny. The half in 47 and 1/5 seconds as the field heads for home. It's Lost in Rome with the lead, and Tapazerance is moving up on the outside. Runabout is in between those two as they come for the furlong marker. Here comes Tapazerance. Here comes Runabout up to challenge Lost in Rome. Lost in Rome digs down. Here is Runabout now moving right alongside Lost in Rome and Runabout. The two of them come on to the finish. It is a head bob. It's very tight between Runabout and Lost in Rome.
Tight photo finish between Runabout and Lost in Rome, indeed, as it looked like it was the #1 Runabout under Dylan Davis, Anthony, that might have gotten the bob.
Another fun race. You see the bottom level claimers here in New York, Runabout and Lost in Rome. Runabout in the worst position in between Lost in Rome and Tapazerance. Tapazerance came with a wide move. It looked like he was just going to roll on by. And in fact, at one point, Runabout had dropped back to third, about a length behind Lost in Rome. These two are going to wind up settling it on the wire. And I think Runabout, this got a little tighter than the first look appeared. It got tight, but I'm pretty sure Runabout put his head in front for good 2 jumps before the wire.
Joel Rosario put Lost in Rome, your favorite, on the front end early on and did the right thing with a horse that just seemed to be the best horse in the race. And it seemed like Runabout wasn't going to get there and then kicked in late with that kind of relentless, grinding running style. Dylan Davis keeping after him. These two made it exciting, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And it was the #1 Runabout that got his nose down in time.
Again, fun race. You could throw a blanket over the 3 favorites in here. The public had it right. The 3 favorites beaten, separated by just about a length when all was said and done, with the biggest of the 3 prices on the board. Runabout getting the job done at 3-1.
3-1 coming in from the Finger Lakes for Jeffrey Engelhart. It was 1, 2, 4, 6 in the third at Belmont at the Big A. Dylan Davis and Runabout get the win. Gelded son of Oxbow. Bring you prices and more after this. We'll also talk about the riding title at Churchill Downs as Tyler Gaffalione looks to make it another one, but it's going to be pretty tight in the last 2 days of this meet at Churchill Downs.
Quality Road, proving Lane's End's tried and true stallion-making tradition, a tradition that leads to success for our partners and our stallions. Quality Road has sired multiple Eclipse Award and Grade 1 winners, including champion 2-year-old colt Corniche, champion 2-year-old filly Caledonia Road, champion 3-year-old filly Abel Tasman, and multiple Grade 1 winner City of Light. He's a leader of his generation. Quality Road, a stallion that stands above the rest.
Driller along the inside in second position. Here they come, spinning out of the turn. Six the period now by 5 lengths.
Few horses have stood in esteemed stall #1 at Claiborne Farm. and all of them champions, legends of the sport.
And down the stretch they come. Unbridled takes command.
Who influenced the generations that followed. Today, stall number 1 belongs to Run Happy, who is looking to create champions in the generations to come.
Bold Ruler, Secretariat, Easy Goer, Unbridled, and then Run Happy. Each of those horses were North American champions at one point in their careers.
All in line, and they're off. Secretariat by 7. Secretariat 8 lengths. Fente just hand-guided him under the wire. He takes this to Towers by 2.5 lengths.
You got to basically be a champion to live in that stall, and certainly Run Happy was. Whoever's after Run Happy will have to make sure he was a champion as well. Hopefully Run Happy will be able to keep his name on the door and add to the list of great horses that live in that stall.
You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well, as we always enjoy getting a chance to follow the offspring of the champion sprinter Run Happy. Here at Belmont at the Big A, race number 3 is in the books. It was a tight photo finish, and it was the number 1 runabout who got his nose down in time under Dylan Davis.
Darryl Bromowitz making a couple of appearances in the winner's circle. So far today, he has a lot of horses with Jeffrey Englehart and runabout. Game effort between horses. You see Dylan Davis left-handed urging here, getting him through that hole. You know, he's in there, Acacia, but it's the of these 3 horses coming down the stretch, he's in the spot you least likely want to be in. But the old 7-year-old who's now won 11 times in his career. You see the Run Happy photo finish. Runabout wins the Run Happy. Photo finish by just about a schnoz.
He's now 11 for 61 with 17 seconds and 13 thirds. Remarkably consistent, this 7-year-old gelding, an $8.40 winner, able to outgame your favorite Lost in Rome.
Yeah, not quite a head, not quite a flared nostril, as the great Tom Durkin would put it on the line in the 3rd.
They made it a fun one, that's for sure. We get ready for the 4th race at Churchill Downs. Up next, that's a look at Mean Machine, who's going turf to dirt. We'll talk more about this 4th beneath the Twin Spires after this break.
A Grade 1 winner of nearly $2 million, Silver State hails from the sire line of legendary Claiborne stallion Danzig. And his second dam is full sister to Kentucky Derby winner Monarchos. After winning the Oaklawn Handicap, Silver State defeated Knicks Go in the Grade 1 Metropolitan Handicap. On the board in 12 of 14 starts from ages 2 to 4, his career included a 6-race winning streak. Grade 1 winner Silver State, standing at Claiborne Farm.
If you're looking into racing partnerships, you should know they're not all the same. When you partner with Bond Racing Stables, you become a member of a growing family of racing enthusiasts, all guided by 3 generations of experience in thoroughbred breeding, training, and racing. Sharing the excitement at Saratoga and Belmont Park, where we've graced the winner's circle with winners like Giacosa, who was bred, born, and raised here at our Song Hill Farm. Get more than just a partnership. Become a member of the Bond Racing family. 3 generations of thoroughbred excellence.
Eclipse champion Run Happy, the #1 second crop dirt sire of last year, is back and showing a new dimension with winners on turf, dirt, and all weather.
Tabalina's really shouldered all the responsibility. What a deserved victory. Most impressive. Tabaline by 3 1/4.
Somebody's Problem is on her way to winning the Prairie Meadows Debutante. Somebody's Problem by 2.5, 3.
Run Happy, price for value, and standing strong at Claiborne Farm.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program. When shopping for your next race prospect, consider that New York Reds start with an advantage. Our New York Reds run for serious green. At Saratoga Race Meet, New York bred maidens run for up to $88,000. New York bred allowance horses run for up to $100,000. And New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race. So get back with the program. Seriously.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. Glad to have you with us on this Saturday afternoon as we get ready for race 4 at Churchill Downs, going a mile on the main track. It's a $20,000 claiming race for 3-year-olds and upward. Currently, the number 4 Runway Magic is 6-5. I know you know all about that, Anthony. Here's Wes Warpath.
Yeah, missed by just a nose, running for 10 last time. Doubles up in claiming price, looking for his first win at Churchill Downs.
The Big A is Anthony's runway. Here's the number 2, American Pure.
Yeah, I tried this horse on the turf last time. He did not run 2 steps at Saratoga. Back to the dirt where he hasn't had a lot of success. We'll see if he can get back to his winning ways from the spring.
5-2 on that one with Tyler Gaffleone in the saddle. Here's the number 3, El Franco.
Yeah, stretches out for his second start since a July break. Was a huge price last time and drops down a bit in class.
11-1 on the board. As we take a look at your favorite, the son of Run Happy, Runway Magic.
Hasn't raced much this year, just twice. Avoided claim last time when dropped in for a tag for the first time. Runs for the same price now. Both wins have come at Churchill.
6-5 now on this one, though. Has some questions to answer today. Here's the 5, Undecoded.
Yeah, 3-year-old filly trying the older males. Has had some success against colts. She actually beat them at Hawthorne in May. Finished second to them at Ellis Park in July.
Turf to dirt for that filly as well. Number 7, Mean Machine, also turf to dirt.
Yeah, 7, Mean Machine. Cuts back from the 2 turns on the grass to the 1-turn mile here. 0 for 10 overall on the main track in his career.
Here is the number 8, Tackless, who is stretching out in distance.
He's won blinkers in his last 4. They come off now. His first 3 starts without them were not very good, though 2 of them came against better down at Gulfstream Park. See if he can improve on the stretch out and drop in class.
Number 4, Runway Magic, currently your favorite, as Luis Saez is going to be aboard that one. For more, let's check in with Paula Duca.
Yeah, a little tricky little race here because it seems like it looks like a 2-horse race or a 3-horse race on paper in here. And Anthony made a very, very good assumption. You know, you got 2 3-year-old fillies in here, and the 5 and the 8 that are going to get a lot of weight here because they're 3-year-old fillies facing older males. So you're going to get 7 pounds here. The 7, I would think. The complete outside horse, the 8, is going to go to the front in here. And with the weight aboard with Edgar Morales and less weight, I would not throw the 8 out of your supers. I don't know if the horse can win the race, but I think she can maybe lead these horses around the racetrack. Okay, let's get to the main runners in here. Runway Magic in here for Tommy Drury. Two of her wins, of his wins, have come here at Churchill Downs. His numbers are the best. Now, his numbers are the best at going the 1 turn 7 furlongs, but that one race going to 1-turn mile here at Churchill in September would just destroy this field. Now, you're wondering, last time out, voided a claim. It can be many things. A lot of people think voided claim thinks the horse could be lame. That is not the case. It could be a lot of other different things that could have gone on. The stewards decided to not have this horse be claimed. And for this horse to get back into the gate and Luis Saez aboard for Tommy Drury and even money, obviously the issues are figured out. I like the 2-horse in here, American Pure. You know, this is a horse that, like we've said many, many times, that Mike Maker claims horses to try to, you know, see what they can do on the turf as they get a little bit older. And he takes a shot. And this one did not work out, did not run a step on the turf. Now they wheel back on the dirt. The one dirt start, at least over a main track, was a gate-to-wire finish in a giant number at 6-5 at Indiana Downs. So maybe another tough horse to endorse. The 5, Undecoded for Jimmy DeVito, kind of the wild card horse, because this horse has run decent races at Oaklawn, decent races in Chicago at Hawthorne, and in the P-Patch at Ellis. And he's run okay here at Churchill Downs. He only had 1 start. That was his debut. So her debut, but she gets the weight, and I think that's why she's getting a little bit of money here, because she's the interesting sort here with Gabe Saez aboard. But I'm going to stick with the 2, American Pure. I just think you're getting a good price at 7-2.
Fair enough, Paul. Thank you. American Pure, second off the claim for Mike Maker, did not take to the turf last time out, as this colt by American Freedom goes back to the surface that it seems that he does prefer. Ran his fastest race on the dirt at Horseshoe Indy back in April, did American Pure, and Tyler Gaffleone will be aboard today.
Yeah, he was really bad on the turf at Saratoga last time out. And I wonder if he's just tailed off form from that big fig maiden allowance win at Horseshoe Indy back in April. And he's also been spaced well, Acacia. April to May, May to July, July to August, August now to October. He's in for the 20, but right below the price he was claimed for. 3-1. He'd be a horse I'd try to fade a little bit in here.
Race 4 at Churchill coming up. Let's get some thoughts from Jonathan Kinchin.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add about the 2 American Pure. This is a horse that has some nice numbers when he was with Brad Cox. Mike Maker picked the horse up, tried turf, didn't work out. But this horse had excuses for Brad in the last couple of starts as well. It was extremely wide with trouble, broke slow 3 races back. I think you can kind of, forgive those 2 dirt races and look previously in the spring to what this horse did on the dirt at Indiana. And if this horse can run that race in here versus these others, I think American Pure could be tough. You're getting 3-1 on the board there. But another one that I thought was interesting as well was the 5 Undecoded. Not that it means the world here, but they continue to run this filly against the boys. I don't know if it's the distance that they like. I don't know if it's the condition that they like, but they continue to do this. As a couple times they've tried it, facing tougher company, I think. Starter allowance a couple races back at Ellis Park, now in here for a tag. So the 5 Undecoded is another one that a little bit of a bigger price that I think is interesting. But my top choice would be the 2 with a little saver on the 5.
Undecoded, intriguing indeed, Jonathan. Thank you. She's 9-2, and Paul brought up some good points about this filly, as well as the number 8 Tackless to the outside, as they do get a significant break in the weights, given the fact that they are 3-year-old fillies facing older males.
Yeah. Getting anywhere from 3 to 7 pounds from their rivals in here. I thought the 1 West Warpath was interesting. Second off 2-month break. Just missed last time going 6.5. Stretches back out. I would imagine Florent Giroux is going to put this horse on the front end today. I would try West Warpath at double-digit odds. It's too big of a price on this horse.
3-5 now on Runway Magic. Tommy Drury, the trainer of this gelding by Run Happy. Let's see if this will be the right spot for him. They load in for the 4th at Churchill. We go to Travis Stone for the rest of the load and call.
Mean Machine and Tackless. They're in the gate. And they're off. Runway Magic was off alertly, has pulled back off the pace. West Warpath down inside. Undecoded is there. And here comes Tackless. Tackless races up on the far outside, and with that, Runway Magic is back into the race and is down inside racing second early. Undecoded comes away 3rd. So they cross over, and it's Tackless going head-to-head with Runway Magic. These 2 on the front end together. And American Pure emerges from the pack and takes over 3rd. Undecoded is 4th. West Warpath covered up down inside 5th. El Franco 6th, but only 2 lengths off the lead. 5 lengths back to Mean Machine the trailer. And the opening quarter was 23 seconds flat. Runway Magic on through to the lead at the half-mile pole. That opening half in 46-2. Pace is honest. Tackless pressing Runway Magic round the far turn. American Pure tucked away toward the rail. El Franco spun out wide. Undecoded shuffled back in behind. West Warpath under pressure. Mean Machine at the back. And up top, it's Runway Magic, who hits the quarter pole on a 2-length lead. American Pure set down for the drive. El Franco 3rd off the turn. Top of the lane, Runway Magic shaken up now. Still leads a length and a half. American Pure's trying hard. El Franco, Mean Machine is late on the scene. 16th to go. Runway Magic wanders way outside. Mean Machine is flying up the rail to get there. Mean Machine 24-1 runs down the 1-2 Runway Magic.
Mean Machine at a big price up the inside, able to take advantage of a drifting Runway Magic. This horse was pretty far back early under Joe Rocco, Anthony, and he was very game up the inside.
We saw Hey Boss win the opener coming up the inside, and now we see another long shot here, and Mean Machine married to the inside under Joe Rocco Jr. Limited chances, gets his first win of the meet. Able to sneak up along the inside to just get through to get the job done at a big price. $50 mutual coming your way at Churchill Downs.
Runway Magic, it was close to the pace, had some pressure late from American Pure, second off the claim for Mike Maker. We saw Runway Magic drifting a little bit, and that allowed for the big price at 24-1. Mean Machine up at the inside. Turning the page back over to Belmont at the Big A. We have race 4 coming up next, going a mile on the main track in this allowance race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward, and Brattle House, not surprising, a big favorite. We'll meet the rest of the field, though, starting with Halo City.
Stretches back out to a mile for the first time since last December. Has all 4 of her career wins right here at Aqueduct.
Here's the 2, Bees and Honey.
Her biggest race came in the Comely last year, grade 3, where she earned a 97 buyer speed figure, has not come close to that since.
Flash and Dynamite, a big price on the board.
Third start off, a reclaim by Mike Moore. It has not fared well, beating a combined 50 lengths, one on the turf, one up at Saratoga on the dirt.
Here's your favorite, Brattle House, second last time out.
Prohibitive. She appears to be the controlling speed, stretches back out to a distance she's won 3 of her 4 tries at.
Vegas weekend, off a layoff since February.
Yeah, she was vanned off in her last start back in February, just her second start of the year, obviously. We'll see how she returns from the layoff with Jose Lascano aboard.
And that's the field as the 6 and 7 are out. Currently 4-5 on Brattle House, as she was beaten by Betsy Blue last time out. Betsy Blue came back out of that race to win again in her subsequent start with an 88 buyer speed figure.
Yeah. The Betsy Blue is more of a sprinting type. Now you can argue that, well, Brattle House did not really have much fight for her at the quarter pole of this race, and I can't argue that. Brattle House did not run as well as she had in her prior 2 starts last time, despite earning the same figure. With that said, I think she's a little bit better with a little bit more ground. She is absolutely the controlling speed in here, and she's run the same figs, but she has had plenty of success on wet tracks. So I think all of those things lead to a short price, but it's better than a long face, Acacia.
That's for sure. 4-5 on Brattle House. For more, let's check in trackside with Richie.
Yeah, guys, Brattle House, just I don't see any weakness here. I mean, she looks great on paper, and she couldn't look any better physically. I mean, she's a beautiful, elegant daughter of Malibu Moon. Great in the flesh, great coat. I mean, she looks formidable on paper, even more formidable when you see her physically. My idea underneath her, though, because I'm kind of going with her as the free bingo square, is I think the 1 Halo City's kind of interesting because she's the truest, deepest closer in the race. And I think if other horses get involved with trying to chase Brattle House, it's just going to set it up for someone to kind of pick them off late for the place spot. And I really think the most logical one to do that would be the 1 Halo City, who could not look any better as well. Those 2 are the 2 standouts physically, as far as I could see. And then the 3 horse I thought was a little bit interesting at a huge price, Flashy and Dynamite. She's got some races in the mud that kind of put her in the frame. As long as she doesn't get caught up in that hard chase of Brattle House, maybe she can come along and pick up some minor awards. But I definitely think that the path to the winner's circle is through Brattle House.
All right, Richie, thanks. 4-5 on Brattle House. If we can keep you for a minute, I wanted to ask with Bees and Honey, the 2, as she was completely washed out last time out and just doing way too much coming out of Graded Stakes Company. Is she acting any better today as she's the second choice?
You know, Casey, she was acting better. When she came out on the track, she was a little bit full of herself. But I almost like that she had broken out in a sweat and kind of dried up a little bit. There was like that dry sweat up on her neck. So I don't know if that maybe, you know, back at the receiving barn or on her way over to the paddock, she got herself worked up. But she had dried out once she got here. And if anything, I thought that almost left a little bit of a negative impression on me, because when you see horses that have already broken out and then they tend to dry up, I've not had the greatest experiences with that. Now, listen, if it's not out of character for her, she ran well last time despite kind of working herself up and getting, all sweaty. But I just preferred others a little bit from a physical perspective.
Richie, thank you. Bees and Honey, she tried the 2 turns at Saratoga last time out and ran her race maybe on track before the race even began. Maybe some questions with her from Richie again today. For more on this race 4 field, though, let's check in with Jonathan.
Yeah, Keisha, look, I understand what Richie's saying with Brattle House. This is a horse that has some fast numbers, has some tactical speed, should be able to kind of control in here. But one thing I will note is that in Brattle House's last start, going 7 furlongs, she kind of found herself forward and then started to retreat. Kind of got a little bit tired. And actually, Richie and Gary both have kind of taught me this. When these one-turn miles, there's no ability to slow down going into the first turn. So these horses have to run on the backside, and I think that they become more of a stamina test for horses than a mile and a 16th race going around 2 turns. And so my question is not the talent or the ability or the pace advantage that Brattle House might have, and more or less does this horse want to get this distance with some real horses chasing? And I think the 2 Bees and Honey does want this distance. This horse has run well going 9 furlongs. This horse was tried going 10 furlongs. And I just feel like she does want this distance. And when Brattle House is likely, in my opinion, going to get a little bit tired as they turn for home, I feel like Bees and Honey, the 2, will just be getting started.
She has the foundation, indeed, Jonathan. Thanks. A mile here today for Bees and Honey as she finished second behind WW Fitzy last time out, a horse that certainly has some backclass and ability as well. Again, obviously warmer in Saratoga, even towards the beginning of September than it will be today. But she was one, Anthony, she got so hot, so washed out, and to go a mile and an eighth too, it's very tough to overcome when you expend so much energy before the race, and she still ran well as a result, despite all of that.
I think you're waiting for her to come back to that calmly.
Yep.
I don't think it's ever happening. I'm not saying she has to come back to that race to win today. That race last time gets the job done. So I can see it. I've never been her biggest fan. So she's not for me.
I saw she was being a little bit difficult there. Irad Ortiz took her away from the pony for a couple strides, trying to get her to settle, and she's getting herself a bit more revved up now as she did her warm-up with the pony, but just kind of throwing her head around, being a little bit tricky. And that's the type of horse that, yes, as Richie said, obviously recently it's been in character for her. I didn't note it down or remember this happening before she won the Comely, but obviously last time and today, that's how she's been. So it's Irad Ortiz trying to get her to settle down. You just don't want them to expend all that energy before the race even begins.
And at the end of the day, you can try as hard as you like. They are a 1,000-pound animal. Yep. They're going to do what they want for the most part. That's just how it is, Acacia. I don't have to tell you, you've been around them your whole life.
Indeed, and when they set their mind to something, it's tough to overcome that. Irad Ortiz doing his best, though, to keep her relaxed out on track. This filly by Union Rags, 1-2 right now, though, on Brattle House, as she does have that early speed. And you brought up her record on a wet track as well. I mean, she had it right here at the Big A in April of last year, a very nice effort on a wet track, sealed soppy track in that New York Bred Allowance.
Now, knowing she has a penchant for doing this, it doesn't give you as much pause.
Bees and Honey?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
But it still gives you some pause.
No, I mean, I don't like it because there's one thing of a horse that has a tendency to get sweaty, one thing for a horse that has a tendency to get sharp. She is difficult in that she's fighting her rider, and that's where you expend the most energy.
Right.
Yeah.
And at some point, they usually do settle. At some point, right? She hasn't even been that terrible today.
No. Better today than she was last time, for sure.
So.
Well, we'll see. Brattle House, the favorite, though. We'll see if she can take them gate to wire. Oh, as the number 3, Flash and Dynamite, just popped open the front of the starting gate and running off a little bit there, but well done, as she was not able to get too far, and will make her way back over towards the starting gate after being examined. Did I lose you over there?
No, I'm here. I'm just wondering. I was on my Narrow Bets account.
I figured as much.
because the Brattle House money. Send it down to Richie.
Yeah, guys. I mean, listen, horses do win from time to time or run their A race when they break through the gate, but it's always been my experience. It's like the air coming out of the balloon. There's all this energy building up, and, you know, it's almost like when they pop through the gates, it kind of drains them a little bit, and they don't have the same kind of energy level that they did going into it. Now, listen, this filly's a long shot, was a little up against it going in, but this isn't something you want to see if you wagered on her in any of your exotics.
Richie, thank you. Flash and Dynamite loaded back in for the fourth. Here's John and Brielle.
4, and they're off. A hesitant beginning for number 1, Halo City. Brattle House is out for the early lead with Vegas Weekend on the outside running in second. And then it's Bees and Honey and Flash and Dynamite. They are right together. And a big break back to Halo City, who trails the field. They cross over now from the chute to the main track. And it is the odds-on favorite, Brattle House, leading here by 3/4 of a length. And on the outside is Vegas Weekend down at the rail. Bees and Honey, Flash and Dynamite's in between horses. 7 lengths back to Halo City, the quarter in 23 3 over the sloppy track. Brattle House sets the pace here, is in front by a length. Vegas Weekend and Bees and Honey, they're right together. And Flash and Dynamite is a close-up fourth, about 2.5 lengths from the lead. Halo City now getting closer in fifth. Brattle House continues to lead after a half in 47 3. Vegas Weekend is on the outside. And then Bees and Honey. Midway on the turn, it is Brattle House holding on to the lead, and now the lead is a length and a half. Vegas Weekend, Bees and Honey. Bees and Honey now moves into second. Vegas Weekend is back in third. Then Halo City, Flash and Dynamite has dropped out of it. They are at the head of the stretch with Brattle House in front and Bees and Honey driving up on the outside. It's Brattle House and Bees and Honey, and the two of them are together with 1/8 of a mile to the finish. Bees and Honey and Brattle House, and Bees and Honey has taken the lead, and it will be Bees and Honey to win going away at the end by 2.5 lengths. Brattle House was second, a photo for third between Halo City and Vegas Weekend.
Bees and Honey, she had that foundation that Jonathan spoke of, and she was able to run down Brattle House, who was your pace setter in here. Seemed like Irad Ortiz finally got her to settle a bit.
Not only did he get her to settle, but he was able to get her into the game and take advantage of nobody else really trying to do that with Brattle House on the front end. I'll tell you what, she's run 2 big races in her career, and they've both come right here in South Ozone Park. So maybe she's just a fan of Queens like I am. But this is a nice effort today. Good final time too. I know they came home a little slow, but it's a pretty good final time for this track. Actually, it came home pretty quick. I misread that. That's 1:36. That's not 1:38. That's a good final time for this racetrack. Big effort. Yeah, she likes it here at Aqueduct.
Number 2, Bees and Honey, able to run down your pace setter at Brattle House. You mentioned she was pretty much alone on the front end. Flash and Dynamite, one who used to show some speed. We saw what happened with her breaking open the front of the gate. It was a good job by Andy Hernandez, able to keep her from running off, but she was a non-factor after that mishap. It was Brattle House setting the pace. Bees and Honey, though, able to run her down. 2, 4, 1, 5. 2-1 over 1-2. Brattle House a very short price here. Bees and Honey with the win. Bring you prices and more after this on America's Day at the Races.
Glad I got shut out. I haven't been back.
And Lost Ark, big, powerful strides, puts them away in the sapling.
And Forte and the two of them are right together. It is Forte to grab the lead now from Belfort. It is Forte in front. Forte on to victory here in the Grade 1 Hopeful.
The head of the stretch, it's the Slew by 2. Then Exceller in second by 3.5. It's Freezing Wise Phillip and Great Contractor. In the stretch, Seattle Slew trying to hold on to a 3-length lead. Exceller drives to the inside, holding second by 6. Great Contractor is picking up some ground, but they've still got the Slew in front. He has 3 as they come to the wire.
The Great Seattle Slew in the 1978 Woodward. Yesterday, it was this day in history as September 30th, 1978. One of the true greats to look through a bridle.
I was just about 1. I was 1.5.
Just about?
Actually, I was 1.5. My half birthday was yesterday.
Oh,
yeah,
happy
it was 1.5.
half birthday.
Thanks. He's, as far as on the racetrack and in the breeding shed, most important racehorse of my generation. I don't even think, I don't think it's debatable.
Yep.
I
The
don't
mark
think it's
that he left on the breed, yes.
When you take it as a whole, right? People are going to bring Secretariat to the table. People are going to bring Spectacular Bit to the table. Neither of those two did much at stud. When you consider what he accomplished on the racetrack and in the breeding shed, I don't think it's a debate.
He's part of a tremendous group of notable Woodward winners. Look at that list, just absolutely insane. Let's go to Richie Migliori.
Yeah, guys, listen, Anthony, you know my feeling about it. Seattle Slew, what he did on the racetrack and what he did in the breeding shed would make him #1 in my eyes. And just watching that Woodward, and I was there that day. You were 1. I was at the races that day. His mechanics, his stride was just so impeccable, so incredible, and it's so much fun to look back. He beat Exceller that day pretty handily. Exceller came back and got his measure in that cutthroat speed duel that he suffered through in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. But that Jockey Club Gold Cup might have been the race Seattle Slew finally got the respect he always deserved, and that was how many years ago yesterday? Well, it's 66 years ago today that Buck Passer wrapped up his Horse of the Year honors, winning the Woodward on a sloppy track at Aqueduct. History lives on.
And we'll see, does history repeat itself? Richie, we were joking with Richie yesterday. We needed to create a segment called I Was There with the MIG.
Richie was here for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
For a long, I mean, from the mid-'70s on, for a very long time, Richie was here for a lot. He's seen an awful lot here at the Big A. It's a place near and dear to both of our hearts.
This day in history, indeed, special winners throughout history that have taken that Woodward, and we'll see This Life is Good add his name to that list a little bit later on today in that Grade 1 affair. Back here to race number 4, it was Bees and Honey. She was better today, though still very sharp. Irad Ortiz able to get her to settle when it counted, though, throughout the running of the race, and she is able to run down your favorite pace setter, Brattlehurst Lane.
Good final time. Nice horse race here. She tracked. She took aim. She was able to put away a horse who now 2 in a row. You see, so now, Acacia, going forward, Brattlehurst, you have to be a little skeptical of Brattlehurst because 2 in a row, no real excuse other than getting beat on the square, which is not an excuse. You have to look at her PPs with a little bit of a grain of salt
It's
going
really
forward.
the third time that she did that, though,
Yeah.
honestly. She did it back in September.
Good call.
Last year. So she has a little bit of a tendency to do just that. She was 1-2 today. Bees and Honey with that foundation able to run her down late. Back at Churchill Downs, we get ready for race number 5. Coming up next, it's with the 2-year-olds, a maiden special weight, going a mile and a 16th. This is a fun race, and looking forward to talking about this one currently. Tappett's Conquest to the outside, stretching out for Brad Cox is your favorite. Let's meet the field, though, starting with Oh Gangster.
From 6 to a mile and a 16th. Did not do much running first time out. 26-1 today. See if he can improve on the stretch out.
Here's the 2 Prairie Dunes that ran well on debut for Belmont.
Made up a lot of ground late. Went 7 furlongs. Pedigree says this horse will run all day long. Junior Alvarado stays as he's in town to ride Speaker's Corner later on.
I like this horse getting more ground. Here's the 3 No Easy Days.
Yeah, kind of ran evenly for the most part in his debut at Ellis Park at a big price. Blinkers go on, and he stretches out this Son of American Freedom.
Number 4 is next. That's Fortune.
Turf to dirt. Couple of starts at Ellis Park and Kentucky Downs. Month between starts for this Son of Empire Maker.
Next will be the number 5, Dennington. Improved speed and big effort last time for Ken McPeak.
Yeah, 4.5 to 1 in his first 2 starts. Had much improved speed getting to a fast track. A gun runner, not surprising. This horse is improving.
And still very green with the pony, though. Here's the 6, Miller's Right.
Stretches out from 3/4 of Colonial to a mile on the 16th. Cairo Prince out of a Vindication Mare. I wonder if the lawn is in Miller's Right's future down the road.
Magnificent Mile is next.
Yeah, a good effort, attended the pace and hung on for second as the 5 to 2 lukewarm favorite at Ellis Park going 7 panels. Stretches out an extra 3/16.
The half-brother to Grade 1 place, Brill. Here's the number 8, Pyrenees.
Yeah, didn't do much running on debut for Cherie DeVoe. Was 16.5 to 1 at Ellis Park. A little bit shorter today. We'll see how the son of Into Mischief handles the 2 turns.
The other for Ken McPeak, Escapologist.
Yeah, the son of Good Magic. We talked about him earlier. A solid, if not spectacular, work tab in the Bluegrass State dating all the way back to August 13th.
And currently your favorite, Tappett's Conquest.
Yeah, it made a lot of sense. This horse did not take much money, really didn't take any money. 16.5 to 1, got beat just a half length. Got himself involved in a nice little stretch duel as well. You would think the experience, not only of having the race under his belt, but that kind of battle in the last quarter of a mile would help his cause today as the 2 to 1 favorite.
Son of Tappet. As horses on the track, let's check in with Paula Duca at Churchill.
Thanks, Acacia. And yeah, I think this is absolutely a loaded race in here. Some nice little colts here. And when you get to the outside runner here, the 10, Tappett's Conquest. Like Anthony said, this horse did not get bet first time out, but I thought ran a giant race, not breaking very well from the 2-hole, was able to sort of just grind away, almost got to the front end and just settled for second place to Powerful. They were well clear of the rest of the runners too. So, you know, he's the horse to beat on paper. The worry that you have in here is this is a horse that worked August 28th over the turf course at Saratoga, and then a little bit of a break, and now Brad brings this horse to Churchill and has 2 works after about 19 or 20 days off. So at 9 to 5, do you want to take that horse? With the 2 Prairie Dunes, Anthony's right. This horse made up so much ground in his last race. Curlin on the top side, Blaine on the bottom side. 2 classic winners. So I would think the mile and the 16th is not going to be an issue, but you just can't leave, you know, yourself too much to do way back. It's going to have to break a little better. The 7 Magnificent Mile for Rudy Brissett, you know, this is a horse that ran well first time out. You get Tyler Gaffalione, Gerardo Corrales, I thought rode the horse perfectly last time, was favorite in a 10-horse field. And ran well. So I thought another player. I'm going to land on the 3 in here. No Easy Days, putting the blinkers on. I thought the horse looked tremendous and should no way be here at 17 to 1. Ran against 2 nice runners in Hurricane J and Pensacola's debut. And Michael McCarthy is really good when it goes to sprint to route. And at 17 to 1, I'm going to take a shot that maybe the 10 and the 2 could bounce a little bit in here.
I like it, Paul. A nice price. Thank you. No Easy Days. Blinkers going on for Michael McCarthy, a horse that ran 3rd at a big price. He sold at the Fasig-Tipton Timonium sale and 21 and 2. I thought that he just looked a little bit green in that 2-year-old work, maybe a little bit green in that debut as well, but certainly a license to improve.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how Prairie Dunes handles the stretch out. I'm curious to see. That's the one thing. A horse that we kind of glossed over, and by we I say me, is the 4 Fortune. He has a 2-turn race on the turf and that 1-turn race at Kentucky Downs. I'll tell you what, you want to talk about a horse that has foundation and would not have a problem getting the distance, it's him. We'll just find out about his surface now, if he can handle the main track. But he's interesting at a price. I think he was 11 to 1 when they went to the gate Acacia. He's an interesting horse at a price.
This is a fascinating race. There could be some good 2-year-olds with some future ahead of them in this 5th race at Churchill Downs. Let's go to Travis Stone and see who graduates today.
Goes in. They're in the gate. And they're off. Tappett's Conquest, far outside. No Easy Days toward the rail. These 2 head out for the lead. Dennington is there, and Fortune comes on through. Fortune comes on through quickly. Oh, and very tight there was Fortune. No Easy Days veered out as they hit the first turn. Tappett's Conquest took the worst of that as well. So around the turn they go, and a tough to control. No Easy Days, the leader, still trying to get out. Tappett's Conquest forced to the far outside. A big opening at the rail for O'Gangster, and Rafael Bejarano takes advantage and comes on through. So down the backstretch run, No Easy Days short lead, O'Gangster second, Tappett's Conquest tracking them from third. Fortune has settled down into fourth, 2 lengths clear of Dennington, who's now fifth. Magnificent Mile toward the rail in sixth, Pyrenees in seventh. Prairie Dunes is eighth by 4. Escapologist is at the back with Miller's Right. In the opening quarter, 23-4 to a 48 half mile. The field hits the far turn. No Easy Days getting out once again there. Really having a tough time is Martin Garcia trying to settle this one down. Tappett's Conquest comes on 3 wide. O'Gangster is trying to hang with them, but it's back into third. Dennington is sent on for speed fourth. Magnificent Mile looming up with Pyrenees. Giving way is Fortune quarter pole. And it's Tappett's Conquest who rolls off the turn. 4 lengths in front for Tappett's Conquest. Pyrenees runs up into second. Magnificent Mile is third. The rest with lots to do. Furlong to go. Tappett's Conquest. 4-length lead, 16th out. Pyrenees runs up into second, trying to run down Tappett's Conquest, who overcame a precarious opening turn to score by 4. Pyrenees was second. It's tight for third there. Prairie Dunes, Escapologist, or Magnificent Mile.
Tappett's Conquest and Florent Giroux get the win in the fifth at Churchill Downs. Maybe he is a small and compact son of Tappett, Anthony, but he certainly had no problems with the distance and ran away from this field.
Easy win. This horse has a little bit of a future. I think he improved off the 74. He ran first time out going 7/8 of a mile. He may have even moved a touch too soon today. Just his second start, gets a little tired late in the game. You almost want to see that though, Acacia. I like this horse. I think this horse is a player going forward.
There was a lot going on early on in the race as the number 3, No Easy Days, was really tough to handle. He was trying to get out. He was very rank and just giving his rider a really tough time, making everybody else kind of shuffle around.
Yeah, and it kind of scatters them a little bit. Young horses, right? A lot of them stretching out for the first time. He's dealing with a second turn for the first time himself. So, yeah, thankfully everybody stayed safe.
Back at Belmont at the Big A, race 5 is coming up next. We also have the 2-year-olds. This is the Spendthrift Farm 2-year-old race of the day, brought to you by Spendthrift, home of North America's 3-time reigning champion General Sire Into Mischief. That's a look at the field. Mount Up, first-time starter for Todd Pletcher. Currently 9-5 on the board. Talk more about this race in a moment, as I know that it's time for you to say farewell, but as always, a lot of fun joining you today. Life is good for you later?
Well, life is, of course, life is good. Life is always good. It'll be better if the Mets win tonight. See you tomorrow.
I like it. See you tomorrow. Look forward to it. Anthony Seville, great job as always. Andy Serling coming up to join me on the desk after this, as we'll talk a little bit about this Spendthrift Farm 2-year-old race of the day. We'll Mount Up, the son of Army Mule, be ready to roll at first asking.
Yes, there's family. If we say La Troyenne, you'll get the picture. And of course, form. G1 this.
A breathtaking run.
G1 that.
Dig down deep to win it.
But take a long, steady look, and the word that most likely springs to mind is fantastic. Maxfield. Family. Form. Physique. Fantastic.
We take pride in what we do.
For me, it's more of a passion than actual work. I'm an assistant trainer.
Carpenter.
I'm a peace officer.
I'm a jockey.
I'm a gardener.
I'm a groom.
Clocker.
Assistant starter. Trainer.
ESL teacher.
I love what I do.
There's so many jobs that come together every day. It's a collective effort that really makes this ball go round.
We are New York Racing! I couldn't imagine working anywhere else.
For me, riding horses in the morning is the best thing I can do.
New York Racing helps support my small business.
It's extremely important to the New York economy.
Like my dream come true.
This is like a big family. We are New York Horse Racing.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. I'm Richard Migliori here in the paddock for race 5, the Spendthrift Farm 2-year-old race of the day. And we've got a bunch of nice-looking colts here to talk about. I mean, every single one of them making a nice impression. But we'll focus in on 3 different horses, starting with the 4 Limits of Power. This is a half to Yaopan, Grade 1 stakes-winning sprinter. Horse looks very, very sharp, light-framed horse, very fit-looking for trainer Shug McGahee. And he came in here looking very, very sharp. The 6-horse Town Square, first-time starter from the Brad Cox stable, by Speightstown out of a mare that's a stakes winner sprinting. And he kind of announced his presence when he came in here. Just a really good-looking horse with a nice energy level and a very alert look to him. I like what I'm seeing from the 6 Town Square. Those are 2 first-time starters that stood out, but a horse that I think is really going to appreciate getting to the outside, who has run before twice. As a matter of fact, the 8 Full Moon Madness, he ran in behind horses. He was pretty game, but he always looked like he was running a little bit with the emergency brake on. I think getting the outside post with the experience under his belt and being by the Moon, who was 3 for 5 on wet tracks, including the Grade 1 Frizette Acacia, I think Full Moon Madness with his experience is going to be very tough to beat today.
Richie, thank you. Looking forward to this Spendthrift Farm 2-year-old race of the day as I welcome in New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling here with me. Of course, we have a lot of races to come, Andy, and looking forward to all of the stakes action later.
I can almost hear you, actually, over the din upstairs.
At least it's not wagon wheel anymore.
A lot of music taking place up here in our third-floor studio. But it's good to be here and looking forward to the races later today.
Absolutely. Looking forward to this race coming up. But, of course, the feature on the day could feature one of 2 Grade 1s, in fact. Of course, the prestigious, historic Grade 1 Woodward Life is Good. 1 to 9, Andy, as he'll break from the inside. He's 2 for 2 at the mile and an eighth as well, coming off of that Whitney score.
Yeah, I mean, he's about as big a favorite as you can get. I think he could even pay less than, I want to say Jackie's Warrior paid $230 when he won the Vanderbilt. He probably pays less than that, $220 or $210, and it's his farewell to New York racing, and I feel like we've been lucky to have him here. He is a terrific racehorse and clearly one of the very best in the country.
We saw him winning the Whitney last time out, and he does come in here, a horse that has dazzling gate speed plus the stamina to go the 2 turns of the mile and an eighth, which is a dangerous combination as we take a look at what's coming up. 4 graded stakes on tap today at Belmont at the Big A, and 3 graded stakes tomorrow as well. Jam-packed weekend here in New York.
Yeah, lots of big races, a lot of races that are big prep races for the Breeders' Cup coming up, including the 2 winner-ins later today, the Champagne and the Miss Grillo.
Well, coming up now, we'll see if maybe some of the horses in this 5th race at Belmont at the Big A will be in graded stakes in the future. It's our Spendthrift Farm 2-year-old race of the day, and there is a son of Into Mischief, Spendthrift Stallion, to start this off. I know you're going to know how to say this name correctly.
No, I'm not, but thank you for saying it. I'm going to say Cascade.
That's what I was going to guess. So.
I'm going to go with the French. The dam is Rev d'Amour, so I'm assuming there's a French influence there. I just wanted to fold to a horse Monday Call, who's actually a pretty good runner. Probably, though, the less good of the 2 Chad Browns, the other one being scratched.
Here's the number 3 Mount Up going by. More on him in a moment. Here's Limits of Power.
Yeah, none of these firsters are taking a lot of money. Even the Todd Pletcher to be 5 to 2, and this one who has a good pedigree, half to Yaopan, a multiple Grade 1 stakes winner, not taking a lot of money right now.
Maggiadoro was next.
This is obviously the longest shot in the board. Not a lot to speak of from pedigree in this one.
11 to 1 right now. Here's Town Square, first-time starter.
Pay an awful lot of money for this horse for Whisperhill Farm, who breeds a lot of horses, but also buy them. Related to 4 horses, did no running, but the dam herself was pretty good.
Here is Full Moon Madness, now your favorite, the son of By the Moon.
Yeah, I sort of defaulted. Well, I picked the 2, but that scratched, and I scratched into Full Moon Madness. I want a horse who's run, a horse that's run respectively in both those races. Not great, but respectively. Good trips in those races, but never mind drawing outside, and the experience is always such an edge. We had a maiden race for New York Breds in the first race, and 2 with experience. Well, one of them won.
And as we do see another son of Spendthrift Stallion into mischief, as we did see Tappett's Conquest, who finished second in that race, just win over at Churchill. So maybe a good move for Full Moon Madness. You can join Naira Bets today and play the action on our program and more while earning up to a $200 deposit match bonus. Sign up with promo code MATCH200 and you can earn up to a $200 deposit match right after your first deposit. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Join now at nairabets.com for your $200 deposit match. So we welcome in Jonathan Kinchin once again, Spencer Farm 2-year-old race of the day coming up, JK. And for your favorite, he was just flattered with that winner at Churchill.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm going to land. When you look at these 2-year-old races, we saw it a lot this summer at Saratoga, you hear about the next fastest horse in the world. And even those horses struggle to overcome horses with experience. And in this race, I don't think there's one of those next fastest horses in the world. So there's even a bigger edge, in my opinion, to a horse that has some experience. I landed on the 8 Full Moon Madness for a few reasons. One, this horse took no money on debut for a first-time starter with this pedigree, right? Into mischief after out of an awesome race mare and By the Moon, and took no money, but ran well. What that tells me is they didn't expect this horse to run that well that day. The horse broke slowly, came running, did get some pace to close into, but nonetheless did pick up some pieces, showed some courage to try to pass some horses. And they come right back. They're bet a little bit this time, and they just get beat. They run well. They're beating a length in here. And I just think that this third race in the career is going to be another step forward. And the other thing that you have to like, and I talked about it a little bit earlier on the show, is on a racetrack like this with young horses, I like being drawn outside. It avoids a lot of the kickback. A sloppy racetrack kicks back a little bit differently than a dry racetrack. Full Moon Madness has an opportunity to not have to deal with any of that being drawn towards the outside. And I also think it's interesting that a horsewoman of Michelle Nevin's caliber has decided to put blinkers on. Maybe we'll see a little bit more speed. Doesn't have to be as far back as was on debut. Be a little bit closer from that outside post. I know it's not a great price, but I'll take the 8 Full Moon Madness.
8-5 now, Jonathan, thank you. With a big pedigree, that 2-year-old colt by Into Mischief out of By the Moon. And he's finished third in his 2 races so far, Andy. And get shortcut blinkers on today for the first time for Michelle Nevin. And you would think, too, as Jonathan mentioned, maybe it could be to get him to show a little bit more speed, maybe to have a little bit more punch in the stretch as well, as he's had 2 rather similar races.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I agree with some of that. I think he's had enough speed. He's not a particularly slow horse. He's been close enough. And depending on what you see from the first-time starters, he could certainly be forward here. I wouldn't know why Michelle has put the blinkers on. He sort of ran the same race the second time he ran the first time. He wasn't quite as good as Powerful. It really came down to that. I don't think there's been anything wrong with his performances. They've been okay. You know, the buyer par for a race like this is 80, and this horse is running low 70s. So the reality is, if there is a good firster in here, that horse could beat this horse. The question is there one? The Brad Cox horse, Town Square, is not taking much money. The Chad Brown, the Inside's not taking much money. And I would say the 3 Mount Up is not really getting bet right now. Todd Pletcher, a first-time starter, relatively small field, not a lot going on, 3-1. That's a pretty big price, and $400,000 is a lot to pay for an Army Mule.
For Army Mule, who was out of a precocious mare, though. She was a stakes winner and did win at 2. She is the sister to Bulletin and Tis Miss Sue, or I should say in the 2nd generation. As far as the 4 Limits of Power, though, this is the one with the pedigree, the have-to Grade 1 winner. You know, I've had several track announcers over the year tell me it is Yopon. But I think everybody's given up on that as of now.
Whatever he is, he was a Grade 1 winner, so he was pretty good. He won the Forgo. He was the one who was involved, and some may remember, in that biting incident with Firenze Fire last year. A very talented runner for Steve Asmussen. This is the one I'd be the most interested in, probably, though I picked Todd's horse second. It just doesn't seem like any of these horses are taking a lot of money right now, and I don't think that's a particularly good sign, because I don't think if you have a firster that you like, you're not fearing the number 8, Full Moon Madness. He's okay, but I don't think he's any kind of superstar based on the races we've seen.
For more on these 2-year-olds, let's check in again with Richie.
Yeah, guys, just to kind of finish up on the theme of how these horses warmed up, Every single horse in the race left their stable pony, their lead horse, to warm up, except for the horse with experience, Full Moon Madness, who stayed alongside his pony. And sometimes horses get more aggressive after they've raced, so they'll really get to pull very hard. But all of these babies warmed up well. I thought the 4 Limits of Power was interesting. He galloped off, and when the 5 horse kind of galloped up behind him, he tried to scoot off with Dylan Davis. He really grabbed the bridle and kind of took off, and he looked like he was handling this track very well. I landed on the 6 Town Square. I love the way he got over this surface. A big, powerful stride, and this horse really was reaching ground. He's 6-1. I know he's cold on the board, but I got to go with my gut. What I saw, most of these horses, if any of them, have never worked on an off racetrack, so there's a lot of questions there. But at least in the gallop over to the gate, he was the one that caught my eye, that handled it the best. And Full Moon Madness makes a lot of sense. Just not crazy about 6-5, guys.
Fair enough, Richie. Thank you. Town Square, a colt by Speightstown debuting. The siblings have not done much on the track as of yet. We'll see if this one's ready for Brad Cox.
I agree with Richie. 6-5 is tough to swallow in Full Moon Madness. And I think it's really a function of the fact that none of the firsters are live at all. And that's why this was such a big favorite.
Maybe it's experience. Maybe it's a firster. Spencer Farm, 2-year-old race of the day up next.
And they're off. Full Moon Madness from the extreme outside. Town Square away well. Now moving up is Cascade down at the rail. And right alongside is Limits of Power up the backstretch. Full Moon Madness, the favorite, is the leader here by 1.5 lengths. Cascade runs in second, followed by Limits of Power. And on the outside is Town Square. 7 lengths back to Mount Up. And trailing the field is Maggiadoro. The leader is Full Moon Madness through a quarter in 22-4 over the offgoing. It's Full Moon Madness by 1.25 lengths. Cascade down at the rail runs in second. Limits of Power is next in third. And Town Square is fourth. Still that big break back to Mount Up. And farther back is Maggiadoro. It is Full Moon Madness who now steps away to lead by 3. Cascade runs in second, the half in 46 seconds as they turn for home. Full Moon Madness is the leader. Cascade is all out in second. And it is Full Moon Madness with a 4-5 length lead now as they come down for the 16th pole. Mount Up is putting in a late run down towards the rail, but no threat here to the favorite and the winner, Full Moon Madness, as he breaks his maiden. And it is Mount Up who was up for second, and Cascade finished third.
Full Moon Madness for Michelle Nevin with that big pedigree, blinkers on, and he wires the field to break his maiden.
I mean, honestly, it felt like this race was over about 10 strides out of the gate. Whether it's the blinkers, whether it's the fact that he was running against a bunch of horses that aren't that fast early, the mud, the experience. He was not surprisingly forward today, and he just dominated this bunch. A nice little run by Mount Up, suggesting perhaps he can go forward. You just wonder with a horse as an Army Mule how far he's going to want to go. But this was a no doubt about it winner. And I'm going to be honest, I have not been paying enough attention to the times of the races. But this felt like a pretty fast effort by this one. Sometimes wet track races, though, you get loose in the lead. They can kind of exaggerate your performances.
Manny Franco in the saddle, and you had asked me if Manny Franco ever rode By the Moon, and he did once, actually, when she finished 4th in the distaff here at the Big A back in 2016. That was a while ago, and now By the Moon's first full winner here at Belmont at the Big A. Colt by Spendthrift Stallion into mischief in our Spendthrift Farm 2-year-old race of the day. Wiring the field, it was Full Moon Madness, 8-3, 1-4 in the 5th at Belmont at the Big A. We'll bring you prices and more in a bit. Horses are in the paddock at Churchill Downs for the next race. It's race number 6 coming up next. There's a look at Obesos as he makes his first start since April when finishing 3rd in Graded Stakes Company. The Derby City 6 kicks off from Louisville after this on America's Day at the Races.
It's 1,000 words fighting back, coming down to the finish. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, this is one stunning picture.
1,000 words just in front. 1,000 words wins the Robert B. Lewis.
Honorary P is full out now, second on the outside. And they're coming down to the line, and 1,000 words has done it.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races, brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. We just saw our Spencer Farm 2-year-old race of the day, Full Moon Madness, called by Into Mischief for Michelle Nevin, able to wire the field and certainly brings back memories of his day on By the Moon. Of course, winner of the Frisette, which we'll see take place tomorrow, Andy.
Yeah. Actually, I hadn't really thought of that. And she was a horse that is, I think Richie was pointing out, was very good on the mud. And this horse liked the slop as well today. And not surprising, this horse ran well. And never surprising when those Instant Mischiefs win. Happy to see Sam Siegel have a nice runner.
Absolutely. Manny Franco in the saddle for Michelle Nevin, picking up that win, $4.20 over Mount Up, who put in a big late run, 8-3-1-4 in the fifth, the Spencer Farm 2-year-old race of the day. Back over at Churchill Downs, we get ready for race number 6 today. This is a high-level allowance race going 6 furlongs for 3-year-olds and up. Of course, is stepping onto the track. Obesos currently 4-5 as he makes his first start out of Graded Stakes company and off of a little bit of a layoff. We'll meet the rest of the field, though, Andy, starting with Lycan.
Yeah, Lycan a big price in this race, coming off a little bit of a freshening. We'll see.
Disappointed in his stake at Ellis Park behind Necker Island last time out at a big price. He's a generous price on the board once again. Here's Surveillance.
I disagree with the betting in this race. I actually believe this horse might be the horse to beat over Obesos, who's coming off of that layoff and has to go 6 furlongs. I think 5-2 is a very fair price.
He's been incredibly consistent as well. Here is the number 3, My Man Flintstone.
Well, as much as I want to root for a horse named for Fred Flintstone, I can't root for this one. He is way overmatched and should be a much bigger price than 10-1. I don't know why he's a shorter price than the 1.
Yeah,
the 1 is much more likely to win this race than he is.
Obesos coming up next as he makes his first start out of the Commonwealth.
Yeah, I mean, I know he ran fine that day, closing in the race in the slop that day, but it does feel like he can run 6 furlongs. You wonder if this is sort of a prep for longer. I think he's way overbet.
He will stay sprinting off the layup. Here's Lofty Adjudicator. Listen, I've been up here a long time already,
You've
Andy.
had a long day in here. Believe me, you always get a lot of slack from me, and you certainly do here. This one seems to be as overmatched.
And 4 left.
Yeah, we should talk about Kavod and 4 left. They look like they're forwardly placed horses here, and even though Kavod won here just 10 days ago.
He's scratched.
Oh, I apologize. That horse was not scratched when I got the scratches, but then again, those Churchill scratches do have a way of coming in late. 4 left is the lone speed in here. He is tough to make overall in his dirt races, but for a horse that's lone speed, and I think that's a real problem for Obesos particularly, who has absolutely no speed. It's not like Surveillance has a lot either. And I think a horse like 4 left becomes much more dangerous as the controlling speed. And I have a feeling Paulie's going to kind of agree at some level.
Well, let's see, 3-5 on Obesos. Paulie, do you trust him in here?
Well, he's a little hard to trust, and I'll tell you what, he's acting himself. Now, I actually wrote some notes down. I pulled my best Acacia Courtney and Maggie Wolfendale, and he's been an issue in the paddock before. Now, he almost flipped over, but, the handler did a great job at Obesos. Now, he's coming off a layoff since April. He does not have a win over this racetrack. Does his races lay over this field? Yes, they do, but he's going to have to come from way out of it. We've seen horses come from out of it, but both horses have flown right up the rail, and it seems like the rail is the place you want to be if you're going to come from off the pace. Now, your favorite in here, Obesos, we talked about this horse. Behind Olympiad, you see a lot of nice horses. You see Hot Rod Charlie. The 7, Andy makes a good point about the 7, 4 left getting to the front end. I would think the only other runner in here that's got that kind of pace that can maybe stay close is the 3, My Man Flintstone, who, ran behind Kavod last time, was trying to challenge for the lead. Here, My Song won that race, has come back to win. So that's been a key race. And considering they claimed this horse, Ray Hernandez, for $10,000 3 starts ago, obviously this is a $100,000 race. And this is going to be a tough ask, but maybe the 3 can challenge the 7. I kind of agreed the 7's going to go to the front end. But, Jonathan, I land on the 2 in here, Surveillance, just because the rail's been good. This horse has been running very, very good numbers, and I think he's going to be able to sit a good trip. What say you?
Yeah, look, I wouldn't talk anyone off the 2, Surveillance. He has fast speed figures and feels like a horse that makes a ton of sense in this spot. But for me, the 4-0 Bezos, and Paul, you had mentioned he's kind of hard to trust. Yeah, maybe he's hard to trust from a standpoint of consistently getting his picture taken. But the one thing that you do get from Bezos is that he runs a fast race, and he's been running consistently in his last 3 starts. And all 3 of those races are better than what other horses are running, depending on what speed figures you look at. And for me, I don't love the price at 2-5. If you're playing the pick 6 here, you're getting started. I'd be ice cold with the 4-0 Bezos. If you're playing a double, you like a horse in the next. If you're betting to win, I understand trying to take a chance to beat Bezos with a 2 surveillance. But for me, I just feel like he's too consistent, the 4-0 basis from the speed figure standpoint, to try to beat him in this spot.
Multiple graded stakes placed. Bezos, he will cut back to the 6 furlongs too. And Andy, you brought up an interesting point. Obviously, at the start of his career, he was good sprinting, but he's obviously shown he can hang when going longer. And maybe this is just a bit of a prep race too before he goes back into stakes companies. He hasn't run since April.
I mean, you are talking about a horse that lost by 5 lengths in the Derby and did actually try to close that day, which was a hard thing to do. And, you know, ran competitively behind Hot Rod Charlie.
Sure.
Has some good races, ran against Olympiad, but you're still talking about a horse off a long layoff. I looked up some stats for Greg Foley. I like with the horses that are coming on back for like 6 months, and it's basically almost exactly 6 months. 120 days to 240 days, so effectively 4 months to 8 month layoffs in the dirt. Greg Foley's just 6 for 42, $1.02 ROI. 4 for 36, 11% with sprinters. And listen, I understand that his best race is better than these horses. I'm not that stupid. But given the lack of speed in this race, and the fact that it's 6, and while I'm sure the Connections would love to win here, this is a stepping stone. Maybe they're using this race to get into Fayette, and they're probably, I would assume, looking to get to Clark at Churchill Downs at the end of November. I don't think him winning or losing this race is going to be that big a deal to them, and in my opinion, taking 3-5 on him is a mistake. I won't be shocked when I'm wrong, but these are the kind of horses I look to bet against. I prefer the 2 as a logical horse. I think the 7-4 left. I get what Paulie's saying about my friend Flintstone, and he may be right, but overall the 7's faster, and I think with the right ride from Giovanni Franco, he gets clear. And I just thought, it's 7-1. I don't mind betting a few dollars, so I bet the 7 to win and boxed him with the 2.
3-5 on Bezos, and if you see him being a handful, Paula Duca, we appreciate those notes as he was a little bit tough. Great to see fans out on track. Race 6 at Churchill Downs coming up. You have some horses with some class in here. Paulie and Andy on the 2. Jonathan on the 4-0. Bezos returning to the racetrack as he's a horse that has kept some very good company between last year and this series. 3-5 right now on the board as they load in for a good one coming up here at Churchill Downs. Let's send it up to Travis Stone for the rest of the load and call.
They're in the gate. And they're off. 4 left, far outside. My Man Flintstone in between, and Surveillance down toward the rail. Lycan comes through toward the inside of the tap on the brakes there. So down the backstretch, and it is Surveillance. Short lead, 4 left, right there. My Man Flintstone backs off into 3rd. Bezos advancing up to be 4th. Lycan shuffled back inside 5th. Lofty Adjudicator, the trailer in 6th. Down the backstretch run, Speed Duel developing, 4 left. And Surveillance knocking heads to the far turn, and they knocked out a quarter in 22-1. 4 left and Surveillance head to head with 3 furlongs to go. My Man Flintstone on the chase from 3rd. Bezos 2 lengths farther back in 4th, but starting to warm up. Comes up on the outside of My Man Flintstone. Farther back, it's Lycan and Lofty Adjudicator. They're off the turn. 4 left, Surveillance still head to head. My Man Flintstone, Bezos coming down the center. 1 furlong to go. Surveillance is a tough customer. 4 left trying to get by. Bezos continues to rally. Surveillance short lead. Here comes Bezos. Photo! Maybe Obeso's got it. Surveillance ran too well to lose. 4 left was third.
Obesos had all the momentum closing on the outside. Travis Stone called it a photo as, again, that mirror where the finish line is right before the stand that says finish line at Churchill Downs, but it looked like Obesos had the momentum. And Andy, we did see kind of a passive ride from 4 left, so Jimmy Graham and Surveillance decided to be aggressive early.
Yeah, just because another horse breaks well doesn't mean that he has to have the lead from you, he or she. And 22-1 for 6 furlongs, especially for this quality of horse, is about as slow as you could get. At 6 furlongs at Churchill Downs, it enabled the 4 to even be close to the pace. It really helped bring him in there. And it certainly helped the number 2 horse in this race, Surveillance, and eliminate whatever chance for left had. You're better off going faster and trying to steal the race in the front end, because you're never going to get involved stalking the outside and beat a horse like the 2 when you allow him to play the right game. Obesos got up, not exactly winning like a 3 to 5 shot should, but he was best.
Closing on the outside, 2 talented horses here too with Obesos and Surveillance as they made it exciting coming down to the wire in the 6th at Churchill Downs. When we come back, we'll preview the Champagne coming up a little bit later on Belmont at the Big A and some of the great horses that have won this prestigious race in the past, including the likes of a Belmont Stakes winner, Tiz the Law, also won the Run Happy Travers, Jackie's Warrior, a sprint champion, and Jack Christopher, winner recently of the H. Allen Jerkins and multiple Grade 1 winner, who will add their name to the history books in the Champagne later today here in New York.
Introducing a stallion, as top class as they come. In 22 career starts, he won or placed in 12 graded stakes, competing in 15 Grade 1s, earning over $1.7 million. His undisputed speed is evidenced by 7 100-plus buyer speed figures, a 3-time Grade 1 winner, Raging Bull.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Union Rags, proving Lane's End's tried and true stallion-making formula. A formula that leads to success for our partners and our stallions. He's a leader in his sire crop by graded stakes winners and Grade 1 winners. He's a commercial standout with multiple million-dollar sales and a 6-figure yearling average. And with 4 full books bred at 50 and 60,000, he has even more exciting progeny in the pipeline. Union Rags, a stallion that stands above the rest.
Adelphi Racing Club, offering a truly personal racing experience.
I would just say that it's a smaller, tighter-knit group. Everybody has a common interest. We spend a lot more time together than some of the bigger operations, and I very much enjoy that.
We're not just a syndicate, and our members aren't just investors. We are partners. Contact us to get a taste of the Adelphi Racing experience, and let's win races together.
Alydar swinging to the outside, comes on too. It's affirmed ahead. Derby Creek Road, but Alydar's coming at him, and it's Alydar on the outside who has a head in front.
Alydar in the 1977 Champagne, so far back and closing with that big move.
And that's one of, I believe, only 2 times that Alydar ever finished in front of Affirmed in a race. And in this race, he kind of ambushed him. You know, Affirmed, who, when he saw Alydar and they got in those duels, he wouldn't let him by. But you've got a horse outside him. I don't think it was Sauce Boat. It might have been Derby Creek Road. I'm not really sure. I'm really not sure who it was. But Alydar just kind of ambushed him and was able to run by him because that firm never saw him coming. And that was one of maybe the greatest rivalries in the history of the sport. And I feel privileged to have seen 3 of those races live. The Hopeful, the Belmont Stakes, and the Travers as well.
Just amazing what that rivalry was throughout the years, and the horses that have won the Champagne throughout history as well. We'll see who gets the win this year. Of course, the winning year in for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Taking a look at the field here and verifying is 9 to 5 on the morning line, Andy. He's going right into the deep end off the back of a maiden win where he was a little bit green, but it was just his first start. He's by Justify and the half-brother to Midnight Bisou, so he's obviously got some high hopes on his shoulders.
Yeah, the position I'm taking in this race is against him. And I think you have to make decisions, you know. You don't need to be wishy-washy. You need to have opinions. And for me, I know the race came up fast, and I don't have a problem with the figure, but sometimes first races of the day live in isolation. And given the second and third place finishers came back and ran significantly lower buyer figures in their next start, I question whether or not this race is as strong as it may have appeared when we first saw it. And I'm not convinced how good Verifying is. And as the favorite or co-favorite with Gulfport, I much prefer Gulfport, and I'm going to bet against Verifying.
Verifying, who broke his maiden at Saratoga in his first start, going right into the deep end today. And we'll have to navigate the mile as well everybody else in this field. Some of the recent Champagne winners, as mentioned before the break, just tremendous racehorses. As we welcome in Richie for this conversation. The Champagne today, we'll see what these 2-year-olds can do. Richie, what are your initial thoughts on the race?
Yeah, I mean, first, quickly getting back to that Champagne, that was Darby Creek Road, Andy, in between Aladar and Affirmed in the inside. And Affirmed was doing enough to keep him at bay. And Acacia, I was there. I'm in agreement with Andy. I like Gulfport. I love the progression. 5 furlongs, 6 furlongs, 6.5, 7. Now he gets a mile. He gets a great outside draw. He's tactical. He puts himself in the race. Just the foundation, the experience. I like Gulfport today.
Richie, thank you. Thank you, Richie. We look forward to that Grade 1 Champagne coming up a little bit later on today. You can get ready for the Breeders' Cup with today's Bankroll Builder. Earn a $20 bonus for when you bet $50 in exactas on the Champagne, and you can score a $20 bonus, win or lose. Play the Breeders' Cup Racing Bankroll Builder this Saturday and Sunday. Visit NYRABets.com to opt in and get the full Bankroll Builder schedule.
I just want to say one thing.
Yes.
I prefer Gulfport to Verifying. I picked him second. I picked Top Recruit on top.
All right, that Champagne coming up a little bit later on Top Recruit, an intriguing runner, new face for trainer Mike Maker. We'll meet the field for this 6th race, starting with Boxa Joe.
Well, this is an off-the-turf race, and while Boxa Joe is probably overmatched in the turf, he appears, at least on paper, to be even far more overmatched on dirt.
Will be the New York Breds running 6 furlongs on the main track. Here's Goldquist.
Now, in fairness to Goldquist, he broke his maiden on the Aqueduct track with a little moisture in it, but he'd still have to run faster to win this race.
Bold Journey is the dirt horse in the race.
I think he's very, very much the horse to beat, and 3 to 1's a generous price on this horse.
Half-brother to American Revolution as well. Here's Sheriff Bianco.
No, you just got the wrong American Revolution occasion.
I know.
Sheriff Bianco, first time he ran was in the dirt at Churchill. He didn't run well enough that day to win, but Cowan, who beat him, isn't bad.
Here is Courageous Ola.
This horse has a lot of speed, could be part of the pace, but he's in great form, but he's a better turf horse.
Did break his maiden on the dirt for what it's worth. Here's 2 Down.
Tries the dirt for the first time, may have some pedigree, but would have to improve off his turf form.
By Constitution, and we look at War Terminator.
Interesting they left this one in here, and he really doesn't have a dirt pedigree, but thought he was the horse to be in the turf.
Yep. As he was making his 2nd start off the layoff for Jonathan Thomas. Now we have 2 main track only runners, Joel Rosario aboard Fenway.
If you're a big fan of the Bob Baffert to Gary Siaka move, this could be the horse for you.
He is a new gelding as well. And we'll look at
Is that
Storm
Gary's
Shooter.
fault or Bob's? Storm Shooter is actually in career form. I was surprised by his effort last time, and he's a big price at 6 to 1. I mean, both MTOs are 6 to 1 in this race, and I think that's wrong. I think both of these horses should be shorter prices than horses like the number 12, who at 7 to 2 is a war dancer, to me, is way, way overbet.
We'll go back over to the number 6, Bold Journey, for Belmont as he does stay in. He was entered to try the turf for the first time today, but obviously the pedigree does lend itself more towards the dirt. This is his race 2 back at Saratoga.
Yeah, he broke a little slowly that day. He got a very good ride thereafter from Jose Ortiz. He didn't panic. He just let him ease into the race. And he ran second to a Unique Unions, who's an improved horse. Now, last time out, just a much different situation. Maybe he was better off getting left because he got involved in that wicked pace, and it just sapped him completely. I think he's the best dirt horse in this race, and to me, he's the horse to beat. I made a pick 3 bet I think Jonathan would be proud of. I made a cold pick 3, singling the chalks, 8-6-1. And I think Jonathan's going to really be proud of me when he's hearing about that bet.
Jonathan, you have to say anything?
Andy, you know, every day I wake up, the first thing I say to myself is, man, I sure am proud of Andy Sterling. So this is really nothing different. But yes, I am very proud of you for doing that.
Right, but I just said to my phone, make a Jonathan, and it just gave me 8-6-1.
I love it.
We got to get that copyrighted.
Exactly. It's known as the Jonathan. I'm not sure you want to do that, John.
Well, as far as that, I actually like a horse that's 8-1 in here, so I'm saving myself a little bit. I like the 10 Courageous Ula. This is a horse that you look at that race 3 back, man, so fast early. And when it comes to these off the turf sprint races, I want the fastest horse who's going to make the front, not get any kickback, and it just feels like the 10 is that horse that is the fastest. I wouldn't talk anyone off of the 6 just from the dirt figures this horse has earned. I'm just trying to get a little bit more creative in a race that I think that speed matters, and the 10 has some of that speed. I would say that it's a little bit of a mistake if you're at home and you're looking at the MTO thinking it's an MTO and an off-the-turf race. I think that this is why there's so many opportunities in this races. There's 2 mistakes that are happening very often. People overbet the MTOs, and they bet turf horses on the dirt. I think the 15's not fast enough. Some of these other horses, not the 10, not the 6, maybe not even the 5. I'm going to ultimately go with the 10 as my pick. I'll be using 5, 6, 10 in my pick 6.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Courageous Ula did run that second behind Cousin Andrew, the famous, back at Saratoga, a few races back at the end of July. Horses finishing up their warm-ups on track. Let's check in with Richie.
Yeah, I kind of am in agreement with Jonathan about the 10, but I thought the 6-bowl journey certainly makes a lot of sense. The horse has got certain dirt races better than anybody else in here, but he needs to run one of those races. You know, last time he was well beaten, and I just didn't see a tremendous amount of excuses there. So he needs to show up, warmed up nicely on the racetrack. But the 10, Courageous Ola, I just like the fact that he ran so well in the slot at Saratoga 3 back when it rained off. He is quick, so he's not going to have to deal with kickback like Jonathan talked about. And I just think 8-1 is a big price for a horse that I think is one of the main contenders here, guys.
Richie, thank you. Getting a good price on him as, I think, the 12 or Terminator. 9-2 is just really shocking me, Andy. But Storm Shooter, meanwhile, is 6-1. He's the main track only.
Yeah, I think this race is badly misbet. Storm Shooter's supposed to be 10-1 in this race, and I had money coming in and people betting off turf form.
War Terminator.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
War Terminator.
Yeah.
I get what they're saying with Courageous Outlaw because the reality is the race 2 back is good enough. The off the turf race is good enough. I wonder if the horse got good in Saratoga. I'm going in a different direction. I like the 6 and the 14 and 15, and I think we're giving the prices on these MTOs are good enough. Listen, I'm not a huge fan of the 15, but I didn't like him last time when he came alive, and I'm wondering if he's just kind of an improving horse for Linda Rice.
He ran a good race last time out. This was his win on September 18th here at Belmont at the Big A on the dirt, and he's a main track only, and we saw Linda Rice do this quite a bit. Few off the turf races this summer, but it seemed like the few off the turf races that we had at Saratoga, she had a main track only that made a lot of sense, and she's been really sharp looking at the condition book and finding a spot where you can take advantage of that.
I would argue that the 2 best trainers in New York at taking advantage of situations are Linda Rice and Rudy Rodriguez. Yeah. Christophe Clement's another trainer that looks to not to say something nice about your father-in-law as much as it pains me to do it.
It is my husband that looks for the main track only spots.
Okay, sure it is. That's your story. You're sticking with it.
That's true. Yeah.
But the other thing is they'll also leave horses in more
Yes.
than a lot of trainers. She'll go leave horses in as well. But I think it's really an opportunity that more people need to take advantage of. It doesn't rain and you don't run. It doesn't matter. But sometimes you get in spots, big purses, small fields, great spots to be in.
Linda Rice taking advantage today with Storm Shooter off the win last time out. Fenway, Joel Rosario going to be aboard, and this horse was purchased at the Horses of Racing Age sale back in November of last year before that July race with John Terranova. So it's just a plain trainer switch to Gary Siaka today.
Okay. Oh, so this wasn't just a switch from Baffert to Terranova because John Terranova.
No, it was a purchase by GMP Stables back in November. Yeah.
And He's been gelded. He got involved in the pace last time. That pace did come apart a little bit. His last race is concerning. In his one win, he was able to get loose in the lead. And I think you have to worry about the 10, Courageous Ula, who both Jonathan and Richie like. But at the very least, he can get in the way of the 14.
Yep. The number 7, Sheriff Bianco, is taking some attention. This is the quote-unquote other Linda Rice in here. Never, or in fact, only once has been on the main track on debut.
It wasn't a particularly fast race, but it was the debut. Broke a little bit slowly that day from an outside post and rushed up. And Cowan, who beat him, is okay. Yep. He ended up on the turf, but I think he was okay on the dirt. The thing is, I know his figures recently at turf have been pretty good. He's been a little off his best form, even on the turf lately. So I don't love him going to the surface, but I can understand Linda leaving him in. I just don't understand why he's 4-1 and the 15 is 6-1. I just think that the number 15, Linda's other horse, Storm Shooter, is a much, much more likely winner and should be a shorter price.
What about Goldquist? I know, and I agree with you, he'd have to get quicker, but he did win that off-the-turf race right here at the Big A back in April.
Fair, but he's also a horse that's only run well when he's been able to control in a race. And with the presence of horses like the 10 and 14, it's a little hard to see that happening here.
Bold Journey, 9-5. All of his races have been on the main track, off the turf, 6th race. The last race on the card that was scheduled for the turf that will be run on the main track, so do take note of that. But race 6 allowance coming up next. John and Brielle standing by with the call.
Storm Shooter goes in. We are set for race 6. And they're off. Box of Joe, Courageous Ola. Those two are right together as Goldquist now moves up. Goldquist now takes the lead. Courageous Ola runs in second, and Fenway is next in third. Far outside is Storm Shooter in fourth. And then Sheriff Bianco in fifth, followed by War Terminator in sixth. Box of Joe is down at the rail alongside his Bold Journey. And trailing the field is 2 down in ninth. The quarter in 22-3. And it's a battle up front. Courageous Ola on the inside and Fenway on the outside. They are right together. Sheriff Bianco now getting closer in third. Storm Shooter is on the outside in fourth. Then comes War Terminator down at the rail. Bold Journey will be forced very wide coming into the stretch. Goldquist has dropped back, then to 2 down, and Box of Joe. They are in the stretch after a half and 46-1. Sheriff Bianco has opened up here. It's Sheriff Bianco with a 5-length lead. Then Courageous Ola and Storm Shooter along with Bold Journey. A clear-cut winner here, and it is Sheriff Bianco. Over the off-going in this off-the-turfer, it was close for second between Courageous Ola and Storm Shooter.
Sheriff Bianco, I guess this was indeed the Linda Rice horse that you wanted. Flavian Pratt picking up the mount, and he wins for fun in the 6th race.
Yeah, this is a one-horse race. The 6th got a little left, but he was terrible. Made a little run. The pace was honest. He had absolutely nothing in the stretch. It was a million lengths back. I guess Wesley Ward made a mistake. He should have been riding this horse in the dirt all along. He's not a turf horse. He's a dirt horse.
Clearly so. And Linda Rice leaving him in. He had some pedigree to suggest that he would handle it, and handle it he did, running away from this field too. Very impressive blanket finish for second there. Several coming across the wire, but no doubt about the winner as Jose Lascano stayed aboard the number 15 Storm Shooter to the outside. So Flavian Pratt picked up the mount on this one, Sheriff Bianco, and he runs away from this field at 4-1. Bring you prices and the official order of finish after this on America's Day at the Races, as we're now ready for the big one of the day, the Grade 1 Woodward coming up next. Life is good. Well, life is good indeed for his connections. He's looking for another Grade 1 win today in the Woodward. More on him and the rest of the field after this on America's Day at the Races.
He was just put together like a machine, and he had a great mind. Everything about him was what you'd want.
Tis the Law pops the cork in the champagne. Tis the Law is going to win the first leg of the Triple Crown.
I've never seen him get tired.
Respect the law. Tis the Law.
His structure is just perfect. His bone is perfect.
He's left the others behind. He's going to win the Run Happy Travers.
He's everything you would look for in a horse.
but Forgo is on the outside and he's moving very fast. Coming for the wire. That's Forgo on the outside. He's got the lead as they come for the wire. Here's Forgo taking over by 1. Silver Series holds second.
The 1977 Woodward with Forgo, and Andy was just sitting next to me rattling off all the horses that he beat.
You know, Richie will love this too because Richie's as sick as I am at these races. Silver Series was actually second in this race. This was not, I think Forgo may have won a race and a comeback race the next year before he was retired after he didn't run well enough. They were trying to get to $2 million in earnings. But this was his last major win. And he didn't really like the mud, and so a lot of people were wary about him, and they stayed in. Silver Series was second there, who trained by Oscar Dishman, coming off a third in the Travers, a 3-year-old actually. And as Richie, I know, knows, it was the only loss on a wet track for the mighty Centillo, who was one of the great wet track horses of all time.
Wow, amazing. As of course, Forgo with that list. It just amazes me every time looking at the list of notable Woodward winners. It's just really astounding to look at the horses that have run in this race.
I mean, the reality is, if you look through the history of races in New York and these graded stake races, the grade ones especially, it's a who's who of who in horse racing, and a great way to learn about the game is to look at these lists, races like this, and see who won it. Races like the Mother Goose, races that have incredible rosters of winners. And we talk about the Champagne, you were talking about it. Incredible list of horses in this Woodward as well.
Woodward coming up next, but meanwhile, it's race number 6. At Belmont at the Big A. Sheriff Bianco the winner, and it looks like there is actually a dead heat for 4th, Andy. That's why we don't have the official prices as of yet. 7, 10, 15, and a dead heat for 3rd, excuse me, between the 6 and, for 4th, yes, 6 and 11.
Yeah, and Linda Rice didn't finish 1st and 2nd, but Courageous Lala, Ulab ran actually very well and gamely to finish 2nd there, given the pace.
Well, that horse looks familiar. There he is. Life is Good, a true talent, really, and he's just been such a thrill and exciting horse to watch. And I thought what you said was true, Andy. We've been really privileged to see him quite a bit here in New York as he came back in his first start for Todd Pletcher, that duel in the Jerkins with Jackie's Warrior, one of the great races we've seen over the last few years, and just the overall resume he has put together since then is so fun to watch.
Well, I think about myself, and I know Richie and I are very similar in this respect. We remember all these great horses we saw in the past, and it's these kind of horses that help you fall in love with the game. I love the handicapping process. I like putting together bets and talking about handicapping, but I also love all these great horses that I've seen throughout my life. And seeing a horse like Life is Good, this is a horse that 30 years from now, talk about this race, and you'll say, if I'm lucky enough to be alive in 30 years, you know, I remember seeing Life is Good run. He's that kind of horse, and it's great to see the top horses in the country and get to see them run, and that happens frequently at the NYRA tracks.
Life is Good. Looking for back-to-back Grade 1 wins. Meanwhile, in race 6, it was Sheriff Bianco, a $10.40 winner. Again, a dead heat for 4th there between the 6 and 11. So do take note of that in that off-the-turf race 6. Again, the remaining turf races, the Miss Grillo and the Belmont Turf Sprint, will be run on the grass as scheduled. There he is. Life is Good. Colt by Into Mischief with that stunning gate speed and dangerous stamina combination. More on the Woodward in a minute, but back at Churchill Downs, we have race number 7 coming up next, and it's for the 2-year-olds. Going a mile and a 16th in this maiden special weight race. Currently tepid favorite with the number 8 Desert Wolf for Todd Pletcher, who does stretch out in distance. Meeting the rest of the field, though, Andy, starting with Frank's Honor.
Yeah, Frank's Honor will probably be a little bit closer in this race, and I think he's one of the major players. 7-1 to me feels like a massive overlay on this horse.
I would agree. 3rd time out for Ken McPeak. Here's a 2nd time starter, Manodoro.
You can say he got bet first time out, but he was part of an entry that day, and I think he was an entry with the winner. I'm not exactly sure. I don't trust the race he's coming out of.
Eldest Son is the 3.
Yeah, this horse is not getting bet at all. Didn't do any running first time.
Here's the 4 Game Warden. I think he should like some more distance.
Yeah, he should. Mott has okay numbers stretching out 2nd time. Well, you know, interesting horse coming out of the verifying race, which I've seen horses not run well out of. Let's see how he runs.
It'll be a good thing to follow for sure. Here's Spielman.
Just feels like he's overmatched. Why he's a big price.
Coming out of a 3rd at Ellis. Last time out, he's a big price on the board. Next will be Colt by Kentharos for the coach. Here's Record Point.
Listen, he's run figures that make him a player in this race. I don't love the field he's coming out of, however.
Curlin's in charge. That he is.
It's such a huge turf pedigree. It feels
Mhm.
like Dale's just taking a shot running on the dirt.
He's 9-2 as he goes onto the dirt and stretches out in distance. Tepid favorite is next. There he is, Desert Wolf.
No, Britannico, the sire of Medina Spirit, and this horse completely blew the break first time out, and then he got bumped. He broke a little slow. He got bumped and just took him out of the race. I think he's going to be much closer today. I'd agree he's the horse to beat.
John Velasquez in the saddle. Next we'll go to the number 9. Turf to dirt, the other for Ken McPeak. He's somewhere out there 10 days later.
He's got the fastest buyer fig in the dirt. Ken tried turf, but dirt seems to where he belongs. I'm not sure that race is as good as the buyer figure suggests.
Seems like they've given up on the post parade a little bit. Pappy Wolf and Big Popper round
But
out
we're
the
gonna
field.
we're gonna soldier forward, Acacia, okay?
Yes, we are.
We don't give up on this show.
We will overcome it all. And thankfully, Paul Duca's here to help us out.
Yeah, sometimes the cameraman, even though he'll put the horses, when they cross the finish line, he's been wrong many times when it comes to a photo. So don't feel like you're the only one confused sometimes when the post parade gets out of order. Okay, let's start with some of the favorites in here. You know, the 9-10 days later for Kenny McPeak, you know, Andy makes a great point. This horse ran really, really well first time out, and Kenny usually doesn't have him crank. He tries to give him just a little bit of an experience. Then came back to the Kentucky Downs race, and that was a pretty good race. So back-to-back numbers that fit in this group. The 7 horse in here, Curlin's in charge, taking a lot of money, maybe just because off that race, but like you guys are saying, it just seems like turf pedigree to me, but maybe this horse has been working well. And you do see the 47 breezing work, 2 out of 77 on the form, so maybe that's what they're going off of in here. I love the 8, Desert Wolf. I'm in with Andy. This horse got dead left. He was wide most of the way after getting bumped. He was about 6 or 7 wide in the top of the lane. And, you know, Prairie Dunes was the horse that came flying in for second on the rail. Now, this is a split race from race number 5. Prairie Dunes was in that race. That was a way tougher heat than this heat. Now, I thought Prairie Dunes ran 4th, but with a little bit of trouble, probably was going to be clear 3rd behind the Cox runner, who was laid over on numbers. So I actually think the 8, Desert Wolf, don't love the price at 5-2, but I think this horse is going to be really tough to handle today.
He does look to be one of the main players in here. Paulie, thank you. Called by Protonico. And yeah, as you and I were saying too, Andy, it seems like when he had that trouble at the start, it kind of threw him off as well. He really didn't know what to do with himself afterwards.
Right. I mean, I'd love to see an alternate universe where he just broke a step slow, but he doesn't get, he felt like his head sort of bumped in the horse's butt or something, and it just like stunned him, and the next thing you know, he was 6 lengths behind, and you feel like it's not necessarily he's a bad breaker, it's more that he just had that trouble to start.
5-2 right now on that one. Interesting group of 2-year-olds coming up in the 7th at Churchill Downs as they start to load in. Let's go to Travis Stone.
Waiting for Spielman, Pappy Wolf, and Big Popper. They're in the gate. And they're off. Eldest Son breaks sharply. Frank Sonner down toward the rail. Record Point is there. Desert Wolf races up from the outside as well. Crush of horses into the first turn. Tight pack so far. Eldest Son short lead. Record Point right there. Frank Sonner holds a spot down toward the rail and punches up on through. So Frank Sonner secures the top spot. Eldest Son backs off from second. Record Point is third. Spielman saving ground fourth. Desert Wolf spun out 3 wide fifth. Curlin's in charge, comes away 6th. Manodura toward the inside, running along in 7th. And then it's Pappy Wolf and Game Warden moving up on the outside. 10 days later is at the back of that first flight, second to last, and it's 8 back to the trailing Big Popper. And the opening quarter was 24 seconds flat. Frank Sonner down inside with the lead past a half-mile pole. Eldest Son continues to track the pace. Brecker Point on the outside, 3 wide. 4 wide for Desert Wolf, but only a length and a half off the lead. Spielman has been saving ground throughout. In behind, Wow 5th. 2.5 lengths back, Curlin's in charge. Under pressure, 6. Game Warden in 7th. 10 days later's mustering up a late rally. 10 lengths behind the leaders, but coming on quickly. At the quarter pole, Frank Sonner turning for home. Eldest Son still second, floating. Desert Wolf wide. It's Frank Sonner in front by 2. Meanwhile, 10 days later, tried to come up the rail, forced to switch outside. 1 furlong to go. Frank Sonner, 4-length lead. Desert Wolf and Spielman. And 10 days later, everybody chasing Frank Sonner, who goes coast to coast, winning it by 4. Desert Wolf second, Spielman, and 10 days later.
Frank's Honor, he broke so much sharper today in his third start for Ken McPeak. And Andy, you had a great call. You said this horse was way too big a price.
It's ridiculous. This horse was 6-1 on the figure he ran last time, made him competitive. And Brian Hernandez really rode him well, and he did everything to take advantage of his rail position. He wasn't really the speed, but nobody was going that hard, and he sort of found himself in there, and he said, you know what, they don't want to go? I'm going to let out a little bit and take the lead and seize control. Much the best. Desert Wolf did run well today. He ran well. He just was hampered by that post and a wide
trip indeed. As we get ready for our America's Best Racing race of the week, no surprise, it is the Grade 1 Woodward coming up next at Belmont at the Big A. 1-9, just as he was on the morning line. Life is Good looking to back-to-back Grade 1 wins, coming off of that score in the Grade 1 Whitney. There he is, truly an incredibly talented colt by Into Mischief, and a pleasure to get a chance to see him run. The 69th running of the Woodward coming up next after this.
Oscar knows basketball. Oscar knows Kentucky fans are crazy. Oscar knows God is great.
Life is Good now moves down to the inside, and they're coming for the finish. It is Life is Good still in front. Life is Good is the winner.
Oscar knows life is good.
When the thoroughbred world descends upon Lexington this November, there is one place you need to be. The place where history comes alive with every championship victory.
He's authentic indeed.
The place where the future is built with the fall of a gavel. The place that exists to be the heart of this industry. The center of it all. Home to the November breeding stock sale and 2022 Breeders' Cup, Keeneland.
Eclipse champion Run Happy, the #1 second crop dirt sire of last year, is back and showing a new dimension with winners on turf, dirt, and all weather.
Tabaline has really shouldered all the responsibility. What a deserved victory. Most impressive. Tabaline by 3 1/4.
Somebody's Problem is on her way to winning the Prairie Meadows debutante. Somebody's Problem by 2.5, 3.
Run Happy, price for value, and standing strong at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
You're watching America's Day at the Races as we're getting ready for a Grade 1 race coming up next. Our program, as always, brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net. Today, it's our ABR Race of the Week. The Grade 1 Woodward going 1 1/8 miles on the main track. There's Life is Good, strutting his stuff in the paddock. And Andy, I know you always say you're not a horse person, but you can see this is an incredibly good-looking horse.
Richie likes to joke with me about watching him work out. He says, even you can tell he's impressive working out. And I got to tell you, he's right.
Yep.
This horse is an absolute beast. and he's a very intimidating racehorse.
He is. He was like a fire-breathing dragon in the Whitney as well. And hopefully Red Ortiz just rides him a straight course today, as he did come over a little bit on his stablemate, Happy Saver, who was hanging on that leg, that left lead as well. We'll see Happy Saver later in the, I'm blanking on the race at Churchill.
The Lucas Classic.
The Lucas Classic.
The race that
Thank
Rich
you.
Strike
I was
is
going
in.
to say
He's in the race that Rich
Clark,
Strike
and I
is in.
said,
It's
no,
very
it's
easy.
not that. Life is good, though.
You're hanging around me too much.
Yes, but he has that I keep saying the word stunning because you could see it last time in the Whitney because the starting gate is right in front of the winner's circle. The speed that he comes out of the gate is dazzling.
That's a big asset along with his speed.
Right.
Is he's a horse, and we're saying this and he'll get left today, but no, he breaks so sharply, and that's what the best speed horses do. They do that. And listen, I remember being really disappointed when he got hurt last year because he felt like a horse that was going to be very tough in the Triple Crown races, and it's so good that he came back. And obviously the misfortune with Bob Baffert, whether deserved or not, led to this horse going to Todd Pletcher, and it benefited us because we've gotten to see him. This is the 5th time we've seen him run at Naira, and I, for one, am thrilled, and I think you agree.
Yes, I'm a big fan of Life is Good. Let's go to Richie with his trainer.
Yeah, Todd, Life is Good looks so good in the flesh. You kept him up in Saratoga to continue training. What was the thought process behind that?
Well, they're doing a lot of renovations at Belmont. The main track's closed, and the training track's been pretty crowded. He's a horse that's pretty aggressive to train, and we want to keep him in a good, quiet spot.
You know, I watch him train all summer, and he's a horse that trains with so much enthusiasm. As he continue to train in that fashion?
Every day's a good day. I mean, he trains eagerly every day. All of his works have been exceptional, and, you know, we're really happy with him. Running over an off track for the first time, so, you know, there's always concerns, but just hopefully he runs his race.
What's the hardest part about this, Todd? You've gotten him ready. Now you got to turn the keys to the car over to Irad Ortiz. Is it usually just hoping he gets out of the gate clean?
Yeah, I mean, that's it. You just hope everything goes smoothly from this point. You know, the horse is prepared really well. He's saddled great. You know, Irad knows what to do, so hopefully everything falls into place.
Any conversation with about him that you want to win, but this is a prep about saving something for next time, or just let him do his thing?
I always feel like that's a jinx, so, you know, he knows what the big goal is.
Good luck, Todd.
Thank you.
Guys, he looks great here in the paddock, and let's see if he gets it done. I'm excited. Always fun to watch good horses.
It really is. And Todd Pletcher looking for his 4th win in the Woodward, most recently in 2015 with Liam's Map. And Todd Pletcher, as it's fun looking at those names as well, because Todd always seems to have these good horses that go on to be tremendous sires as well.
He's only won 4 Woodwards. What a failure he is. I can't believe it.
What have you done for me lately?
8.
You know?
He's got every sire out there.
Really? Yeah. Well, here is Life is Good, 1-9, and deservedly so.
And you get what Todd is saying about being a jinx, because he's a lot more nervous than just about anybody else with this horse. You run a horse like this is supposed to win, it makes you nervous.
Here's Law Professor, Turf to Dirt.
He has that one good race when he was second at Santa Anita, some nice horses. Can he repeat it?
The other Todd Pletcher, keep me in mind.
Yeah, he was disappointing in the Jockey Club, but it was a slow pace in there, and he's obviously the logical horse to be second here.
Here is the number 5, Informative, or Uriah St. Louis is known to pull a big upset.
As big as the upsets as he's pulled, this would be an even bigger one.
Dexter Haddock going to be aboard to the outside, 1-9 on Life is Good, as we'll check in with Jonathan Kinchin. JK, I know it's a short price on Life is Good, but as we've been saying, it is fun to have an opportunity to see a horse like this race.
Yeah, and to be honest, I love when, like, pick fives sometimes, not all the time, start with races like this, because if you want to be a fan, which I want to be right now, I don't want to be a bettor, but I always want to be a bettor. So I just want to single Life is Good, have that little thrill to know that you need him to win for your pick 5 to stay alive. But it's not like you're trying to get cute in here and beat this horse. He's just better than these horses. There's a lot of different kind of funny little stories you can talk about how good a horse is and all these things. I actually made a joke on a podcast this week, and I actually kind of do believe it. I truly believe if they started Life is Good behind the gate, that he would still have a shot of winning this race. He's just better than these horses. He's faster. And it's no offense to the other horses in here. They're all quality animals in their own right. But when we talk about horses like Flightline, you talk about horses like Life is Good, they're just in a league of their own. And like Andy said earlier at the top, it's one of these moments that helps us fall in love with this game, because at any moment you can see greatness. And that's why we sit here watching. It's why we pay attention. We care about these 2-year-old races. We care about the Kentucky Derby, is because you just want a chance to watch greatness, because you know how fleeting it can be. Life is Good is great, and I'm excited to watch him run here in a few minutes. But, Richie, there's a couple of other horses in here.
Yeah, there are other horses in here, but the story is Life is Good, and Life is Good being able to be here to witness him in person. He looks great. He's carrying good weight, great energy. He's warmed up beautifully on the racetrack. Law professor, a horse that at times has shown speed, but more on the turf. Just seems like he's overmatched, but maybe he comes out running and tries to put some pressure. I just don't think anybody's nearly as fast as Life is Good. Keep Me in Mind was very tough to saddle. The other Todd Pletcher trainee reared up in the saddling stalls, got up there pretty high. Thought nearly fell over, but they got him settled down, got the tack on him, and I kiddingly said to Todd, what's the instructions to Joel, the old Alan Jerkins instructions, get me a check. And then informative, also another one, very difficult to saddle. They had to saddle him on the walk. I think horses kind of recognize that, man, I'm in with a monster here. I guess much like a fighter going to the ring, knowing he's got to face Mike Tyson, guys.
All right, Richie, thank you. There is informative, the biggest price on the board, graded stakes winner last time out. Let's talk about Todd's other horse, Andy, Keep Me in Mind, as he did make his first start for Todd Pletcher off of a layoff and his first start out of graded stakes company in quite a long time. And he won nicely at Saratoga, right into the Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup. He's kind of the other horse, yes, way other horse, but the other horse in here.
Right. I mean, listen, you don't take anything for granted. And while Life is Good is an extraordinarily likely winner, we run races. You know, the Jockey Club Gold Cup, the last time they ran it 2 miles, Wajima, Forgo scratched, and Wajima was, I think, 1-5 in there, and he lost to a horse named Group Plan, who I think Alan Jerkins had claimed not that long before. You never know until you run the races, and that race was in a wet track. I'm not sure. Has Life is Good? He's never run a little moisture last time, but nothing like this track. Not that he shouldn't like it, but it's a factor. As far as Keep Me in Mind, Todd really hasn't had a chance to show what he can do with this horse. He was a talented 3-year-old, 2-year-old and 3-year-old, and I thought his first race back over overmatched rivals was a very good effort for him, all things considered. Won very easily. He had no chance in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Not only were they obviously good horses, but that was a very moderately paced race where nobody made up any ground at all. So I do think it'll be interesting to see what Todd can do with this horse going forward, because he feels like a horse that could have that improvement to run triple-digit buyers and maybe be a factor in some real races going forward.
He's run some good races even last year as a 3-year-old as well. I want to remind everybody that tomorrow morning on Fox Sports 2 at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, you can watch coverage at the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, and well, you can get free past performances on Naira Bets as well. We'll see if Luxembourg can win France's most prestigious race.
Isn't there something with horses that have never won a 1.5 miles?
Yes.
And he's never won a 1.5 miles.
hasn't.
And I thought the horse that the rider is getting a lot of attention is riding, and there finished third.
Yeah.
Got a poor trip last time, but he also not a 1.5 mile horse, and I think that could make him a little vulnerable
It's a big
in there.
question for sure.
Yeah. Have you been to the Arc?
I haven't.
I
would
can't
love
believe
to.
that.
I
Yeah, I've
know.
been actually. I've been and you haven't.
No, I know.
That's an
I've
upset.
never been to France.
Oh yeah, no, I went in
No, I know.
2005 when Hurricane Run won.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah, very cool. I've gotten to cover it from New York, you know, when
Go
we're
to
doing
Saint
these
Cloud.
shows, but
I love Saint Cloud,
Yes.
the track on the hill overlooking Paris.
I'd love to go to Chantilly and see all the training centers.
We slept a little late. We were out late and slept late the one day they were racing there.
Back here at Belmont at the Big A, we have Grade 1 Woodward coming up. Life is Good is 1-9, and he is a horse that has so much early speed to him as well, that stamina that he's shown. And of course, Andy, the conversation has been, I think, more than anything of a so-called chink in the armor with Life is Good is, can he handle the longer distances? He's 2 for 2 at the 9 furlongs, so we know that's not a problem. Is lone 1.25 mile try in the Dubai World Cup? Yes, it was very fast pace. He kind of ran off right to the lead there. But of course, going on to the Breeders' Cup Classic with Flightline waiting in the wings, that is kind of the conversation that has come up about him.
Well, of course. I mean, that's the next question. Assuming he passes the test today, you'll talk about what he's going to do at 1.25 miles in there. And I agree. You know, you wonder when the pace, I think they went 24 the first quarter, but there's no run-up.
Yep.
So probably more equivalent to a 22 and change quarter. So he was moving in that race, and maybe it took a toll on him. My guess is, though, with Flightline, they'll be moving as well. But you know what? A horse like this should be going out. You want to call him a great horse, which Jonathan did. He belongs in the Breeders' Cup Classic. And to prove his greatness, he needs to run competitively against Flightline, who obviously has shown greatness on the racetrack.
Life is Good is a winner of the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, and I thought you brought up this point, which is very well taken. If he were to go to the Dirt Mile again, it would add nothing to his value. The only way to increase the value of Life is Good would be to win the Breeders' Cup Classic.
I would argue it's kind of hurts him in a way that losing the Breeders' Cup Classic doesn't.
Right.
People aren't going to not breed the Life is Good, a son of Insubmischief, with immense talent, speed, stamina, all the right things, because he lost the Breeders' Cup Classic of Flightline, who has the appearance of being one of these sort of once in a lifetime, once in every 15, 20-year horses. But if he goes in the Breeders' Cup Mile again, they're waving a white flag. That, to me, I think they retire him before they run in that race.
We saw a list of the contenders that could potentially line up in the gate for the Breeders' Cup Classic. And I think this year in particular, yes, you have those big names of the Life is Good and Flightline. But in general, Andy, it's a really strong division this year of the older horses and the up-and-coming 3-year-olds as well.
No, I agree. It's a very, very good 3-year-old. I mean, there's horses, they're like the Zandons and the Cyberknives that are maybe the 3rd and 4th or somewhere in that discussion, best 3-year-olds. And they're really good horses. And there are years where they could have been the best ones, faster than a lot of the ones running. This is a very strong year, and it feels like there's a lot of good horses around in a lot of different categories. Looking forward to some of those Breeders' Cup races. Sorry those horses don't run more often, but I think we're privileged to have gotten as many chances to see a talent like Life is Good as we have.
And of course, he will stand at Windstar Farm upon conclusion of his racing career after this year. But we'll see. He's got a couple big ones still waiting for him, loading into the gate for the Grade 1 Woodward, and then on to the Breeders' Cup Classic to face Flightline and the rest of those tough foes in the World Championships. But he's 1-9 in the Woodward, looking for back-to-back Grade 1 wins. Life is Good going into the starting gate. It's time for our America's Best Racing race of the week. Can Life is Good do it again? Here's John Umbriel with the call.
And they're in the gate. And they're off. And it was a sharp break for Life is Good, who is right out for the early lead. And Herodotus Jr. takes him a few paths off the inside there as they go into the clubhouse turn. It is Life is Good, the leader, with Informative racing in second. And then comes Law Professor next in third, and Keep Me in Mind is the early trailer in fourth. The heavy, heavy favorite, Life is Good, leads here by 2 lengths. Informative runs in second, and then Law Professor and Keep Me in Mind is the trailer. And now they've reached the backstretch after an opening quarter mile in 24 2/5 seconds over the sloppy going. Life is Good leads here by 2, and Informative is second by 1.5 lengths, with Law Professor in third, another 3 lengths back to Keep Me in Mind. They're midway up the backstretch. Life is Good in control right now by 1.5 lengths. Informative remains in second. Law Professor now being asked for a bit more and coming through on the inside. Keep Me in Mind is at the back. The half went in 48 3. And it is Life is Good taking the field into the far turn. Life is Good by a little more than 1 length. Law Professor has now moved into second. Informative is back running in third, and Keep Me in Mind is the trailer. Life is Good now challenged on the outside by Law Professor. Law Professor, Life is Good. The two of them come to the quarter pole together. 3/4 up in 1:13. Life is Good challenged here on the outside by Law Professor. Life is Good now getting away again. Life is Good is in front by 2. Law Professor made a run at him, is now 2 lengths behind. Life is Good the leader with a 1/16 to the finish, and Life is Good is going to win this Woodward. Life is Good by 1.5 lengths at the end. Life is Good and Herodotus Jr. Law Professor was second, and a big break back to Keep Me in Mind in third. The final time was 1 minute 49 2/5 seconds.
Life is Good, a winner of the Grade 1 Woodward, but Andy, it wasn't in a common canter like we thought that it might have been. Law Professor, he made things a little interesting there.
And he ran very well.
Yeah.
It's not like, when this horse took off from him, he hung in there very well. He backed up that race he had in California where he finished second. And I think Irad looked over and said, what's going on? Who's this horse that's near me here? And I'll tell you something, if you have distance questions about Life is Good, and listen, he got away with a very tepid pace, to be fair. But he was strong at the end. I mean, he went a 12 and 12:33 to the final eighth of a mile in this race, or final, eighth of a mile. So it's not like he was tiring badly here. I think Law Professor ran very well. It might not be the best race Life is Good ever ran, but I think Law Professor ran very well.
Life is Good over Law Professor. Jonathan, Life is Good got it done in the Grade 1 Woodward.
No, he did. And look, I mean, we all know that this wasn't the final goal, whatever decision they make next, which I agree with Andy. They're going to run in the Classic with this horse. It means too much to them to not. But I will say this, and I've never been, I never will be an overwhelming jockey questioner. I'm not a huge fan of the ride because open up with this horse. When you see it on the turn, Irad kind of let them come to him, and then he started asking Life is Good. I just think that with a horse like this that's as brilliant as he is, despite whether this was the goal or this was a prep or whatever you want to call it, open up and let him use his speed. Don't just sit chilly and then hurry to ask him. But I always, in these situations, defer to my counterparts who have actually sat on horseback. So I'm curious to hear what Richie has to say.
Yeah, Jonathan, I think you make a very valid point. He's a horse with so much natural speed that when you basically slow him down, and he wasn't that he was pulling him to slow him down, he just kind of put him to sleep, and then horses get in the race. Now you've got to kind of wake him up again and rouse him, and that's what you saw coming to the quarter pole. You knew he had horse, but he was going so easy for him. That was a gate that basically he didn't have to dig down. So when he had to kind of basically be woken up out of his slumber, it took him about a 16th of a mile to really catch his stride and ran on. I thought it was a good performance, but I do think that Irad kind of put him to sleep in the middle of the race.
Life is Good, the winner. If possible, to get one more follow-up from Richie there, because Andy, you and I were just saying Life is Good is a horse of this caliber, and yes, he was able to slow down throughout and get him comfortable, but wouldn't you think with a horse like this, who has this stunning gate speed that we saw, you almost wouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to worry about a horse like Law Professor with one like this.
Yeah, it's not like Life is Good. I mean, sometimes a lot of what we talk about, and you know, obviously I have the greatest respect for his opinion on it, is trying to get speed horses home that might not be the best horse in the race. In this particular case, you're riding a horse that you know is the best horse in the race. So I get what they're saying. I don't know how much it applied this time, but others disagree.
You saw him going with his ears up on the backside, traveling comfortably. He was able to relax, and he did kick on and finish strong. But Law Professor with a big effort to make things a little interesting for Life is Good. But he wins the Grade 1 Woodward. Life is Good, the son of Into Mischief. Back-to-back Grade 1 wins by Brad Ortiz and Todd Pletcher. Blanketed with that garland of flowers and picks up another big effort. How will this play as he moves forward with Flightline waiting in the wings onto the Breeders' Cup Classic? Will be fun to follow that journey, but Life is Good. Back-to-back Grade 1 wins, both at 1 1/8 for Hall of Fame trainer Todd Pletcher. Todd picking up his 4th victory in the Woodward. It was Life is Good. Life is Good right now. We'll see what's in store in the future for this talented racehorse.
History remembers moments of extraordinary strength, skill, and determination. True greatness is forged by those who fulfill their destiny.
We're back on America's Day at the Races, brought to you by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Grade 1 Woodward in the books. Some truly great horses have won this race over the years. Life is Good adds his name to that list. Whitney, Woodward, some of the most prestigious races here in New York. He got the job done today, Andy, and it's on to the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, obviously not as brilliant as some of us would have expected it to be. But I think a lot of that has to do with how well Law Professor runs. And I think, you don't want to miss that. You don't want to suggest that this is a massively subpar race for Life is Good. I think Law Professor ran very well in this race. And I want to say he's improved for Rob Atras, winning on the turf last time and then winning this race and running very well to be second.
Let's go to Richie Migliori with a special guest.
Yeah, winning rider Irad Ortiz, and we're gonna get Elliot Walden right after that. But Irad, he seemed so settled, so relaxed. He almost looked like he went to sleep down the backstretch.
That was the key. That was the key. Last time he jumped on the bridle a little too soon. As soon as we hit the backside at Saratoga, he just turned on, and it was maybe too early. And today we was looking to relax him a little longer. And actually, he relaxed maybe too much. Went to a 3-8 pole. I let him do his thing, and he's still like waiting. Now he feel the outside horse, and he jump in the bridle right away as soon as he feel him, and he keep going all the way to the wire.
But you could feel the difference once he felt some competition there.
Oh yeah, as soon as he feel that one, he let me know, and he pick up the bait and asking a little bit. He respond all the way to the wire. The track is not that fast, and I think he's run great.
Irad, you've ridden so many horses. Have you ridden a horse that's had as much gate speed as this horse? He explodes out of the gate.
Some fast horses out of the gate, but going this kind of distance and this kind of horses, grade 1 horses, he's probably the fastest one. I mean, he can go fast early on and keep going all the way to the wire. You don't find too many like this one, and I'm just glad to be on him. Thanks Elliot, and thanks the owner, and thanks Todd to let me ride these kind of horses.
Congratulations, Irad. Great job. Elliot, what's the plan now going forward? He's been so good, so consistent. Obviously, the Breeders' Cup Classic will be the next goal, but give us a little bit of a plan.
Well, I think Todd's going to send him to Kentucky this week. So that was his last time in New York, and Breeders' Cup Classic's the goal, and then he'll come to the breeding shed.
And how exciting is it for you to be, hands-on with these horses for all the way through their career, and then to be able to have them for their breeding careers?
Well, it's just super exciting. I mean, we've got Distorted Humor, More Than Ready, who just passed, and to just see them through their whole stallion career, but to have them as well as racehorses. I was fortunate enough to train Distorted Humor. So to be able to be around him and see him every day now at age 28, it's really cool. And same thing for Life is Good. Hopefully he'll be there a long time.
Elliot, thank you so much, guys. A horseman's horseman right here.
And Life is Good. He has been so fun to follow here in New York, onto the Breeders' Cup Classic, and then to stand at WinStar Farm. Back at Churchill Downs, we have some more racing to get to here before they get into graded stakes action as well. Andy, we have an allowance race going 1 mile and an 1/8. For more on this field for the 8th at Churchill Downs, let's check in with Paul LaDuca.
Yeah, really tough betting event here, Keisha. 1 mile and 1/8, like you were talking about, for colts and geldings, 3-year-olds and uppers in here. And the 7 in here, Strong Quality, taking a ton of money from Mark Cassidy, and I think should. Lost a no burn last time. And, this horse ran a courageous race after bobbling at the start. In the races around 2 turns at Fairgrounds before that layoff on September 3rd, horse has been running very, very well, has not thrown in a bad race. So I can understand why the public is landing on the 7 at 5-2. Now it's clicked down to the 1, Tepu, for Tyler Gaffleone, for Brendan Walsh. The 2 and the 3 in here do not have a ton of pace. So the 1 is probably maybe can take the initiative in here and get to the front end. We saw what happened last time, but I also think the 5 in here for the hot Tom Amos and Edgar Morales combination could be the horses that go to the front end. I'll tell you what, the 2 at 22-1 is one of the most ridiculous prices I've seen on the board. 2 muddied up races. I have to put money across the 2 at 22-1. Deuces. Let's go, Acacia.
I like it. The 2 at 22. Andy, final thoughts on the 8th at Churchill?
I like the 10 a little bit in this race. I'm hoping there's enough pace in here. I think this horse is better than he looks, and I thought he had a real chance here.
Complete agenda. Could be a good 15 minutes or so here for Todd Pletcher, having Life is Good just win the Woodward. He's got a big chance in this 8th race. Favorite currently down to the inside, Tepeyu, as we send it up to Travis Stone for the 8th at Churchill Downs.
They're in the gate. And they're off. Tepeyu from that inside post breaks alertly. Strong Qualities looking for the lead. Open Road is there toward the outside. In behind is Tiwanaku, an elusive target. But Strong Quality has secured the lead for the run of the opening turn. Firing Line right in behind, and Open Road comes up from the outside to grab second. Tepeyu settles in toward the rail third. Tiwanaku's back into fourth. Elusive Target 3 wide while fifth. Fenwick farther out, racing sixth. The Princess Spurs saving ground seventh. Complete Agenda pokes up into eighth. Tis Ride Time is ninth and at the rail. OP Firecrackers second to last early. And the trailer is Happy Boy Rocket. Backstretch run, 23 and 4 for the opening quarter mile. And Strong Quality is the leader. Open Road is prompting from second. They continue on 1-2. Tepeyu has worked out a pocket trip so far and is third and right there toward the rail. Tiwanaku's racing in fourth. Here's Complete Agenda. All the way up into fifth, passing horses down the backstretch run within 3 lengths of the lead. Elusive Target farther back in sixth. The Princess Spurs seventh. His Right Time trying to come on late. Round the far turn. Strong Quality pressed by Open Road. These two continue on to the quarter pole together. They've opened up 3 now. Tepeyu's left behind in third. Tiwanaku's in fourth. Complete Agenda has given it up fifth. Off the turn, Open Road comes up to grab the lead. Open Road takes over 3/16 out, but Strong Quality is a tough customer down inside. Strong Quality's back in front. Open Road responds to the challenge and once again takes the lead. Open Road in front. Strong Quality, a final try down toward the rail, to the wire together. Open Road maybe, very tight in a thriller. Strong Quality was right there. Farther back, Tis Ride Time was third.
Open Road able to outgame Strong Quality. These two making it exciting, dueling down to the wire. Open Road stretching out in distance, obviously seemed to be able to handle it under Florent Giroux.
Yeah, and this, no excuse whatsoever for the number 7 in this race. Able to clear the lead. Strong Quality in there, but Open Road just ground out the win. A very impressive performance for a horse that I think really improved in this race for Brad Cox.
Very much so, making his 4th start for Brad Cox, as we saw Strong Quality did build off of that last effort, finishing second off of a bit of a layoff, and coming back here going the 9 furlongs was game, but no match for Open Road. Back at Belmont at the Big A. It's time for the Miss Grillo. There is Be Your Best. She's 2 for 2 so far. Does she stay undefeated today and trying to go the mile and a 16th yet again?
An interesting matchup with Free Look, as they're both 2-1, who had trouble when she finished 3 lengths behind Be Your Best in that race. But Be Your Best didn't have a perfect trip. And it's sort of an interesting story than the story. Mike Ryan, who owns Be Your Best, noted bloodstock agent, and he does a lot of the buying for Chad Brown and Clarvett Stables, and they had a lot of success together. So you've got a competition within the competition there, but I'm sure if they lose, both will be happy to see the other one be the one that beats them.
As the Grade 2 Miss Grillo features a nice matchup. In fact, Free Look currently favored. Is that a bit of a surprise to you over Be Your Best?
No, it's the power of Chad Brown. Sure. And, she did win impressively last time out. So, and a lot of people may be rooting for her, knowing my mom was in the winner's circle last time. It could be the X factor that they're going for. But I'm not surprised. She had an impressive win last time. She's a slight favorite in the multi-race bets. They figured to be close.
Filly by Tappet. Meanwhile, Be Your Best 2 for 2 after winning the PG Johnson. Gamely up the inside last time out. Both the Miss Grillo, the Belmont Turf Sprint, and the Champagne will be broadcast on NBC. We will be back from 6 to 6:30. Most important show of the day, Andy.
It is the most important show, and you have a well-deserved little time off after being up here for 4 hours. So get something to eat, take a nap.
Who do you like in the Miss Grillo?
I prefer Free Look, but think it's between those two. Thought the Sprint is a really good one, like Yes and Yes and the 12 Scuttlebuzz in there.
I like it. Well, Life is Good. Life was good today as he took the Grade 1 Woodward. That was our feature earlier today. We'll be back from 6 to 6:30 on Fox Sports 2 to wrap up the day. It's been some terrific racing so far and a lot more to come. Thanks for joining us, as always, on America's Day at the Races. See you at 6 p.m.
Undefeated Grade 1 winner Mastery was a multiple graded stakes winner at 2, including this victory in the Grade 1 Los Alamitos Cash Call Futurity. On the track, his recent top runners include these star performers.
Two very game fillies, neither one of them will give an inch. Midnight Memories going to outstay her. Midnight Memories won the Torrey